Chapter 1198. Today, everyone from Immortal Academy widened their horizons. As the vanguard of the Nine Heavens, the Forbidden Clan could be said to represent the Nine Heavens. But now, they were mercilessly wiped out by Jun Xiaoyao. It could be said that if it were anyone else, even if they had the ability to wipe out the Forbidden Clan, they wouldn't be so ruthless. After all, many people knew that the future chaos would start from the Forbidden Clan. Offending the Forbidden Clan now and becoming a thorn in their side was obviously not a wise choice. However, Jun Xiaoyao did it without hesitation or regret. It's good to have a powerful background. You could do anything without any worries. When can I be like the Son of God, looking down on the Nine Heavens and the Forbidden Clan? Some Immortal Academy disciples sighed. That's not right. Could it be that the curse of calamity doesn't affect the Jun family at all? That shouldn't be the case. There were also many people who were puzzled. They couldn't figure out the Jun family's background. In the distance, the Son of Truth silently glanced at Jun Xiaoyao. He's only a lesser heavenly venerable, but he can kill ordinary greater heavenly venerables. Moreover, he has reached the pinnacle. The strength that Jun Xiaoyao displayed made the Son of Truth speechless. Then he silently left. If he didn't have any other methods, he wouldn't be Jun Xiaoyao's opponent at all. On the other side, Huang Niedao's expression was also cold. He left without saying a word. As the son of the ancient emperor, he was extremely confident in his talent and bloodline. He was very proud. However, this confidence and pride were shattered in front of Jun Xiaoyao. It even seemed so laughable. He needed to use all kinds of methods to make himself stronger. Otherwise, forget about dealing with Jun Xiaoyao. He wouldn't even be qualified to be his opponent. It could be said that Jun Xiaoyao's breakthrough this time had really intimidated a portion of the clowns. They didn't dare to provoke him anymore. In the distance, Ji Qing-yi, who was dressed in green and wearing a veil, had been watching everything. He knows. Ji Qing-yi's limpid eyes looked at Jun Xiaoyao's back. She felt that Jun Xiaoyao should have guessed who killed Ji Daoyi. Strictly speaking, Jun Xiaoyao was helping Ji Qing-yi take the blame. After all, it was Ji Qing-yi who had killed Ji Daoyi, yet Ji Yingying had shifted all her anger onto Jun Xiaoyao. Of course, Ji Qing-yi only said that Ji Daoyi was killed by foreign creatures. He did not deliberately slander Jun Xiaoyao. That was because she had long known that Jun Xiaoyao was not someone she could afford to offend. Ji Qing-yi even felt that Jun Xiaoyao had seen through all of her little schemes. However, Jun Xiaoyao was too lazy to expose or explain. To him, one more or one less Ji clan didn't matter at all. If anyone dared to provoke him, he would just kill them directly. There was no need to explain so much. Jun Xiaoyao, does Qing-yi owe you a favor? Ji Qing-yi muttered to herself. She subconsciously reached out and touched her face through her veil. There was still a mark left behind by Jun Xiaoyao. That was a warning. It warned her not to get too excited. He has such great talent and strength, yet he also has such deep wisdom. He is truly a person who will make others of his generation despair. Even someone as scheming as Ji Qing, he could only sigh when facing Jun Xiaoyao. On the other side, Jiang Luoli and the others had also caught up to Jun Xiaoyao. Their eyes were shining brightly, and they were filled with infatuation and adoration. After all, Jun Xiaoyao's domineering performance was indeed stunning. Immortal Academy had gained another group of Jun Xiaoyao's little fans. Jiang Luoli was even more elated. She could no longer hide the hearts in her large eyes. Because this was her man. Everyone, I hope that you can all make your preparations. Jun Xiaoyao suddenly said to the people around him. Everyone listened attentively. This is not the end, but the beginning. The creatures of the Nine Heavens should be moving about the immortal domain more frequently in the future. Jun Xiaoyao's words made the surrounding people nod slightly. It was indeed not bad. The destruction of the three great families this time was only the beginning. There was no way the forbidden families of the Nine Heavens would not come to the immortal domain because of fear. Of course, there is no need to be overly apprehensive. Cultivate well. I will bear all the storms alone. Jun Xiaoyao's tone was indifferent. However, it was like a reassuring pill, making the Jun family, Jiang family, followers, and many people related to Jun Xiaoyao feel extremely calm and secure. Moreover, if nothing unexpected happens, there will be true creatures of the forbidden regions descending soon, Jun Xiaoyao said with a faint smile. What? The surrounding people were all shocked. True creatures of the forbidden regions were about to descend? Jun Xiaoyao looked towards Jiang Luoli. Jiang Luoli naturally knew what he meant. If her inheritance was really that important, then the Immortal Mausoleum would probably personally send someone over. After that, the situation was indeed not out of Jun Xiaoyao's expectations. This time, the destruction of the three great forbidden families had indeed set off a huge storm in the entire immortal domain. Many immortal forces were surprised that Jun Xiaoyao could be so stubborn. Or could it be that the Jun family did not even take the forbidden regions of the Nine Heavens seriously? The Nine Heavens were also shocked. Many forbidden families were angry. It was not that they had a good relationship with the three great families. It was that the forbidden families were bound together for good or ill. Jun Xiaoyao casually killed the members of the forbidden families. Didn't that mean that he did not take the other forbidden families seriously? The feeling of being high and mighty was gone. The various forces of the immortal domain were watching the show, waiting for the Nine Heavens to make a big move. Not long after, shocking news spread out. Some cultivators saw a hazy fairy walking out of the well of heaven ascension, heading in the direction of the Nine Heavens Immortal Academy. This was like a sudden clap of thunder that exploded in the immortal domain. Many people thought that with such a transcendent aura, she was definitely not from the forbidden families. It was very likely that she was a true creature of the forbidden regions. This undoubtedly set off a huge storm. The true creature of the forbidden regions had appeared. Many people were paying attention, and many people were a little nervous. Above the Nine Heavens, the mysterious forbidden regions carried endless ancient legends. Although there were terrifying existences hibernating in the forbidden regions. However, not all of the forbidden zones were the culprits behind the unrest. Some forbidden regions always remained aloof from worldly affairs, not participating in the chaos. Of course, they did not stop the chaos. Many people were guessing the identity and background of that fairy. Many people even turned their eyes to the Nine Heavens Immortal Academy. On the side of Immortal Academy, a fairy walked over from the universe, carrying a transcendent aura. Many Immortal Academy disciples were alarmed, and many elders appeared. Did the creature of the forbidden regions come to settle the score this time? Many people were nervous. However, the fairy in the hazy rain of light spoke, her voice as pleasant as the sound of nature. I am Yun Tian Sound from the Immortal Mausoleum. I hope to meet young Master Jun. The fairy named Yun Tian Sound spoke, causing the surrounding people to be shocked. As expected, she came from a true forbidden region, not someone from the forbidden families. Immortal Mausoleum, that is one of the 10 great forbidden regions, rumored to have a true immortal's inheritance. There are even rumors that the Immortal Mausoleum is a true immortal's descendant, a forbidden region established in the Nine Heavens. Fairy Tian Sound announced her background, causing great waves in all directions. Many cultivators were shocked. This was a true great background. The forbidden region behind her, rumored to be inextricably linked to immortals. Otherwise, why would it be called the Immortal Mausoleum? However, what surprised everyone was that Fairy Tian Sound's tone did not seem to carry too much hostility. She did not come because of the Yu family's condemnation. Chapter 1199. In the universe, a rain of light scattered down, divine multicolored light, tens of thousands of streaks. Fairy Tianmei's hazy figure was among them, truly like a fairy who descended from the heavens. And this was indeed the truth. She came from the Nine Heavens, from the Immortal Mausoleum, her identity extremely extraordinary. She was like a fairy who descended to the world, arriving at the Nine Heavens Immortal Academy. However, it was different from the arrival of the three great forbidden families. Fairy Tianmei's expression was aloof and calm. There was not the slightest bit of hostility or arrogance. She was also not like the previous forbidden families, arrogant and unbridled. At this time, an indifferent voice sounded from Immortal Academy. The fairy from the restricted region has come. Welcome. Jun Xiaoyao and the others appeared. He was dressed in white, aloof and otherworldly. His appearance was unparalleled in the world, and his temperament was eternal and otherworldly. It made Fairy Tianmei's eyes light up slightly. It could be said that there weren't many people like this in the Nine Heavens. Even those sealed children of the restricted regions, the heirs of unmatched old monsters, the sleeping ancient emperors, and others, there weren't many who could reach Jun Xiaoyao's temperament. It was to the extent where in front of Jun Xiaoyao, Fairy Tianmei felt that she didn't seem that otherworldly. Immortal Domain, Jun Family Son of God. I've heard of your name for a long time. Seeing you today, it is as the rumors say, you really are an immortal. Fairy Tianmei smiled slightly, revealing her sparkling white teeth, exceptionally beautiful. Beside Jun Xiaoyao, Jiang Luoli's large eyes revealed a trace of vigilance. Could it be that this was another woman who was going to fall for Jun Xiaoyao's charm? Not at all. Fairy Tianmei is the one who is like an immortal. Those who come are guests. This Jun has always treated people with sincerity. Jun Xiaoyao smiled as well, looking like a gentleman who was as gentle as jade. The disciples of Immortal Academy were all speechless, treating people with sincerity. Wonderful. If the idiots of the three great forbidden families knew about this from the Yellow Springs, they would probably be so angry that they would ascend to the heavens. Jun Xiaoyao knew why Fairy Tianmei came. Therefore, he invited the Heavenly Sound Fairy to have a drink or two to discuss in detail. Jiang Luoli also accompanied him. Jun Xiaoyao was such a person. If you let him be decent, he will let you be decent. You don't let him be decent, he will personally teach you what it means to be decent. Thus, the three great taboo families were sent away in a dignified manner. Jun Xiaoyao, Fairy Tianmei, and Jiang Luoli arrived at a pavilion in the Blessed Enclave. Young Master Jun, I'll be frank. You should know why I'm here, Tianmei Fairy said with a smile. It can't be because of the Yu family, right? Jun Xiaoyao joked. Young Master, you must be joking. Although the Yu family is a taboo family under our immortal mausoleum, to be honest, they were indeed in the wrong this time around. Fairy Heavenly Sound's tone was indifferent and casual. The forbidden clans seemed to be glorious in the immortal realm and could intimidate everyone. However, in the eyes of the Life Forbidden Zone, they were nothing more than dogs. Indeed, the immortal mausoleum did not care about the deaths of a few members of the forbidden families. It seems that you're here for Luo Li, Jun Xiaoyao said. That's right. If I'm not wrong, she should have the elemental spirit immortal body. In fact, in our immortal mausoleum, there's a cultivation method that belongs to the elemental spirit immortal body called the elemental spirit immortal scripture. And most importantly, Jiang Luoli should have a world in her body that was left behind by an ancient fairy of our immortal mausoleum. Fairy Tianmei said without any hesitation, because she knew that if she wanted to get Jiang Luoli, she must first get Jun Xiaoyao's approval. As long as Jun Xiaoyao said no, Jiang Luoli would definitely not be willing to go with her to the Nine Heavens. I see. The world in Luo Li's body came from an ancient fairy of your immortal mausoleum. Jun Xiaoyao completely understood. Jiang Luoli inherited the orthodoxy of an ancient fairy of the immortal mausoleum. Then how can I be sure that your immortal mausoleum has good intentions towards Luo Li? After all, you should know the attitude of the Yu family. Jun Xiaoyao said slowly. Jiang Luoli was very obedient at this moment, letting Jun Xiaoyao talk. She knew that Jun Xiaoyao would consider everything for her. Young Master Jun, you must be joking. To be honest, that ancient fairy is from our orthodoxy. If Jiang Luoli goes to the immortal mausoleum, she will become the core cultivator of our orthodoxy, Fairy Tianmei said with a smile, looking peerless. That's also conditional. After all, there's no free lunch in the world. Of course, our only request is that Jiang Luoli can sincerely become a member of our immortal mausoleum in the future, Fairy Tianmei said sincerely. Did your immortal mausoleum also participate in the turmoil of the past? Jun Xiaoyao suddenly asked, looking straight at Fairy Tianmei. Fairy Tianmei paused, then said, "At least our orthodoxy did not." Jun Xiaoyao retracted his gaze and pondered. It seemed that the situation in the immortal mausoleum was not that simple. Perhaps it was like the supreme Xian Ting, divided into different inheritances and branches. But it was normal. After all, the Forbidden Zone was a colossus. Not to mention a forbidden zone like the immortal mausoleum, which was rumored to be built by the descendants of immortals. Jun Xiaoyao thought for a while. The best thing for Jiang Luoli now was to let her go to the immortal mausoleum to cultivate. Fairy Tianmei saw that Jun Xiaoyao was still thinking and continued. "Young Master Jun, what else do you have to worry about? I swear that I will take care of her. In addition, no matter what turmoil occurs in the immortal realm in the future, Jiang Luoli will naturally not be affected by my immortal mausoleum." The Heavenly Sound Fairy was already very sincere. Her attitude and the Yu family's previous attitude were like heaven and earth. Jun Xiaoyao nodded slightly. In fact, he did not want to stop Jiang Luoli from going to the immortal mausoleum to accept the opportunity inheritance. After all, this was her path. Jun Xiaoyao looked at Jiang Luoli. However, to Jun Xiaoyao's surprise, Jiang Luoli did not say that she was determined to stay. "Brother Xiaoyao, I want to go to the immortal mausoleum." Jiang Luoli's tone was firm. Previously, the three great forbidden clans came to visit. She saw Luo Xiangling in the posture of a quasi-emperor, appearing domineeringly to protect Jun Xiaoyao. At that time, Jiang Luoli was very envious. Not only Luo Xiangling, but also Jiang Shengyi, who was also working hard to stand side by side with Jun Xiaoyao and not let him fight alone. In this case, how could Jiang Luoli be willing to only be protected by Jun Xiaoyao? Although it did feel good to be protected, she also wanted to continue on her path and make Jun Xiaoyao look at her in a different light. Okay, Jun Xiaoyao nodded slightly. He was very happy to see Jiang Luoli's growth. Then, Jun Xiaoyao looked at Fairy Tianmei. "Since Luo Li agrees, then there is nothing else. The only thing is, I hope that Luo Li will not suffer any grievances in the immortal mausoleum and that nothing bad will happen to her. If there is," Jun Xiaoyao paused and then continued, "I will personally go to the 9 heavens and let the immortal mausoleum know what dignity is." Jun Xiaoyao's words were indifferent. Hearing this, Fairy Tianmei's mind also focused. After all, after the destruction of the 3 great forbidden clans, Fairy Tianmei knew Jun Xiaoyao really had no scruples and did not care about the 9 heavens and the forbidden clans at all. He could do such a thing. Seeing Jun Xiaoyao so protective of his wife, Jiang Luoli's love surged in her heart, and she could not help but impulsively, regardless of Fairy Tianmei's presence, offered her lips and kissed Jun Xiaoyao. Fairy Tianmei was slightly embarrassed and looked away. But in her heart, there was a trace of envy. There were not many peerless figures like Jun Xiaoyao in the 9 heavens. To be able to become his Tao companion, she must have saved the immortal domain in her previous life. Chapter 1200. Jiang Luoli left with Fairy Tianji. When they parted, Jiang Luoli was naturally reluctant to part. Jun Xiaoyao was very calm. A short parting was for a longer time. This scene was also seen by many people. Many people were surprised. Jun Xiaoyao and Immortal Mausoleum's fairy were actually talking so harmoniously. This formed a sharp contrast from before. However, it was also because the restricted region fairy's attitude was polite. Otherwise, regardless of whether he was a man or a woman, Jun Xiaoyao would give him face. This is heading to the 9 heavens, truly reaching the heavens in a single step. Yeah, the cultivation rules and various cultivation environments above the 9 heavens are different from a mortal domain. If one can cultivate there, they will definitely improve quickly. Not to mention that Jiang Luoli was even received by Immortal Mausoleum. This is an opportunity that one can't even ask for. Many people revealed looks of envy, wishing that they could replace him. In fact, before they parted, Fairy Tianji had also invited Jun Xiaoyao to go to Immortal Mausoleum. It was to the extent where he could even cultivate an Immortal Mausoleum. But Jun Xiaoyao tactfully refused. Firstly, he still had other things to do in Immortal Domain. Secondly, with Jun Xiaoyao's talent, regardless of whether it was Immortal Domain or the Nine Heavens, there was actually no difference. With his talent, even in the Age of Doom, he could corroborate the Tao. With monstrous talent, he was just this willful. Jiang Luoli left. Jun Xiaoyao didn't have any disappointed or frustrated expression. He wasn't the kind of person who would indulge in love. In the following period of time, Jun Xiaoyao continued to stay in Immortal Academy, consolidating his cultivation realm. However, the entire Immortal Domain wasn't calm. The three great taboo families and Fairy Tianji's arrival seemed to have opened a new chapter. At the Well of Heaven Ascension, there would be light surging every few days. Some cultivators discovered that some creatures of the Nine Heavens began to wander about Immortal Domain frequently. Then, there was another extremely shocking piece of news that spread through Immortal Domain. Someone saw the beings of the Nine Heavens heading towards the Holy Spirit Island. Holy Spirit Island's monstrous genius, Little Stone Emperor, was sent away, receiving him into the Nine Heavens. This attracted the attention of many cultivators. After all, he was the second genius after Jiang Luoli to be led up to the Nine Heavens. Later, some people came to a realization. It was rumored that the Holy Spirit Island's Emperor of Stone was closely related to the forbidden area above the Nine Heavens, the Holy Spirit Ruins. Now, the Stone Emperor's son, the Little Stone Emperor, had been brought up to the Nine Heavens. Without a doubt, they were guided by the Saint Spirit Ruins. Then, there was news that Huang Niet Dao, who was originally in Immortal Academy, was also brought up by the creatures of the Nine Heavens. There were rumors that this was all thanks to his father, the undying ancient emperor. There were important figures in the Nine Heavens who were on good terms with the immortal ancient emperor. This caused a group of immortal region geniuses to feel indignant. Having a good father was a good starting point. The Little Stone Emperor was like this, and so was Huang Niet Dao. Then, Immortal Academy's Ji Qingyi was actually also guided away by the creatures of the Nine Heavens. There were rumors that Ji Qingyi obtained the inheritance of a certain restricted area inheritance and was going to be nurtured as a core genius. Now, there were some immortal domain geniuses who couldn't hold themselves back anymore, their minds moving, wishing to head up to the Nine Heavens. One could imagine that these geniuses who were guided up to the Nine Heavens would all have extraordinary opportunities. Their cultivation speeds would far surpass Immortal Domain's geniuses. Of course, this didn't mean that the geniuses who stayed in Immortal Domain were crippled. Being guided up to the Nine Heavens only meant that they had a bit of advantage. It wasn't a qualitative change. However, just these advantages alone were enough to move some geniuses. After all, they couldn't compare to the most powerful geniuses. They could only think about how to overtake them. This made Immortal Academy's great elder, this old man, sigh endlessly. It was because there were some Immortal Academy disciples who left, wishing to be like Huang Niet Dao, Ji Qingyi, and the others, guided up by the Nine Heavens. You all, do you know that the great chaos that previously plunged Immortal Domains millions and millions into misery and suffering was precisely caused by the Nine Heavens restricted areas? Immortal Academy's great elder side towards the heavens. There was a type of resentment towards iron for not becoming steel. Some people, for their own benefits, had they ever considered Immortal Domain's greater situation? However, the only thing that left Immortal Academy's great elder gratified was that Jun Xiaoyao had said that Immortal Mausoleum had previously invited him up to the Nine Heavens as well, but he was too lazy to go. If Immortal Domain had a few more loyal heroes like Jun Xiaoyao, what kind of disturbance couldn't be quelled? Immortal Academy's great elder said with a sigh. This was a true hero of 10,000 generations, a true pillar of talent. However, if Jun Xiaoyao knew about this, he would definitely be speechless. Immortal Academy's great elder was purely imagining things. He was really just too lazy to go, that's all. After all, with his talent, Even if he stayed in the most barren place, he could still prove his Tao. Afterwards, there were some immortal domain geniuses who were guided up by the 9 heavens one after another. If they didn't have connections, then their aptitudes were outstanding. One could imagine that if chaos erupted in the future, not many of these geniuses would contribute to immortal domain. After all, they were already bound. This was also one of the plans of the 9 heavens. Immortal domain itself was like a piece of fertile soil, giving birth to many geniuses, known as immortal seedlings. Then, when the time was ripe, the 9 heavens would absorb some of immortal domain's immortal seedlings and pluck them. This would strengthen the various restricted regions and absorb the living blood. Of course, not all geniuses would be attracted. For example, Xian Ting, June family, Western Paradise sect, and other powers didn't have any geniuses heading to the 9 heavens. There were also some powers that had old grudges with the 9 heavens restricted regions, so they definitely wouldn't let their geniuses head there. Jun Xiaoyao had always stayed in Immortal Academy. During this period of time, he also heard from his followers about the appearance of the Chaos Fiend Star in Chaotic Heaven Immortal Domain. This made Jun Xiaoyao recall the note left behind by Without End Heavenly Emperor. Chaos Fiend Star appeared, Forgotten Land, desolate. It seems like that Chaos Fiend Star is the Chaos Fiend Star. And Forgotten Land should be one of the 7 inconceivable worlds, the Forgotten Country. But the problem is, what does desolate mean? Jun Xiaoyao pondered. At this moment, the mechanical voice of the system sounded in his mind. Ding! Congratulations to the host. A new check-in location has been refreshed. Please check in at the Forgotten Country. Jun Xiaoyao wasn't surprised. Some special places were always easy to activate check-ins. However, Chaotic Heaven Immortal Domain is Xian Ting's territory. Plus, Di Hao Yin is very scheming. He definitely won't let me enter the Forgotten Country. Jun Xiaoyao's eyes flickered. This was indeed a difficult problem. Jun Xiaoyao definitely had to search for the clues left behind by Without End Heavenly Emperor. Forget it. I'll go back to the Huangtian Immortal Domain first and ask Guardian Wu about which generation of Saint Physique this drop of flawless saint blood in the Void Sky realm belongs to. After making up his mind, Jun Xiaoyao made some preparations. When he appeared, his body was surrounded by chaotic mist, and his aura was restrained. He looked as usual. After learning that Jun Xiaoyao was going back to the Huangtian Immortal Domain, Luo, Xiangling, and Little Eversnow both wanted to go with him. Little Eversnow simply wanted to stick to Jun Xiaoyao. Luo Xiangling, on the other hand, was curious about Jun Xiaoyao's family. She wanted to know about Jun Xiaoyao's past. In fact, it was also a little like an ugly daughter-in-law meeting her in-laws. Of course, Luo Xiangling wouldn't say this out loud. Jun Xiaoyao didn't mind. He took Luo, Xiangling, and Little Eversnow back to the Huangtian Immortal Domain on the Fufeng of Gojoseon. Chapter 1201. Jun Xiaoyao's return to the Jun family in the Huangtian mystic realm undoubtedly caused another stir. After all, the Jun family had received news that Jun Xiaoyao had casually killed people from the 3 forbidden families in the Immortal Academy. No one in the Jun family thought that Jun Xiaoyao had done anything wrong. On the contrary, they thought that Jun Xiaoyao's actions were most in line with the Jun family style. Jun Xiaoyao's prestige in the Jun family had obviously reached a peak again. The fact that Jun Xiaoyao had brought a quasi-emperor back also made everyone in the Jun family very curious. Even the great ancestors of the Jun family showed up to show respect to Luo Xiangling. Luo Xiangling's strength was almost on par with the great ancestors of the Jun family. There was also Little Eversnow, who surprised the great ancestors of the Jun family. Some of the great ancestors were extremely surprised. Little Eversnow was very shy, and she only shrank behind Jun Xiaoyao. Great ancestors, do you see anything? Jun Xiaoyao asked with a smile. Not simple. Xiaoyao, this is your fate. The great ancestors of the Jun family were all experienced and knowledgeable, but they did not say anything. However, if they said that it was not simple, then it was obviously not simple. Jun Xiaoyao did not mind. He was now really raising little Evers now as his daughter, and was not in a hurry to find out her identity and origin. Jun Xiaoyao's birth mother, Jiang Ro, also showed up and asked about Jun Xiaoyao again. Jiang Ro was stunned when she saw little Evers now. "Daddy," little Evers now grabbed the corner of Jun Xiaoyao's clothes. "Xiaoyao, isn't this too sudden?" Jiang Ro was speechless for a moment, and then she was very happy. Jun Xiaoyao still explained to clear the misunderstanding. "Ah, what a cute little girl." Jiang Ro's maternal instinct was overflowing, and she still liked this little girl very much. "By the way, Xiaoyao, that." Jiang Ro glanced at Luo Xiangling. Jun Xiaoyao was silent, and he did not know how to explain. Could it be that this was the thigh he was hugging in the other side? "Hello, Annie." Luo Xiangling's tone was a little shaky, and her beautiful face was slightly red as she spoke to Jiang Ro. Although in terms of age, she was definitely not younger than Jiang Ro. But now, she was really like a little daughter-in-law meeting her parents-in-law, full of shyness. Jiang Ro was naturally happy as well. She really hoped that Jun Xiaoyao would have more women so that he could have more children. But the premise was that Jun Xiaoyao treated them really well and really liked them. What followed was naturally a joyous and harmonious atmosphere. However, Jun Xiaoyao did not forget his purpose in coming to the Huangtian mystic realm. He arrived at the Bronze Immortal Palace. At this moment, the Bronze Immortal Palace had become a mobile fortress for the monarch dynasty. Jun Xiaoyao found Wu Hu. Wu Hu's physique was robust. His muscles were like metal. His hair was thick, and his eyes emitted cold lightning. He looked like a dragon and ferocious tiger. He was like a reincarnated god of war. His golden blood surged and shook the sky. Wu Hu could be said to be an absolute upper echelon of the monarch dynasty, a core member. "Jun Xiaoyao, you're here." Seeing Jun Xiaoyao appear, Wu Hu stood up to welcome him. "Senior Wu Hu, it seems that your condition is getting better and better." Jun Xiaoyao smiled faintly. He still hadn't forgotten the first time he saw Wu Hu. In the dilapidated, desolate, ancient sacred palace, Wu Hu's hands and feet were shackled, and thick chains pierced through his shoulder blades. On his back was a stone tablet, which was the humiliation left behind by the tyrant body lineage. However, Wu Hu did not give up. He was in the darkness, but his heart was in the light. He had always done his best for the continuation of the sacred body lineage. He even didn't hesitate to use his own blood essence to nourish Ning Chun and Xiao Xianxian, wanting the blood of the sacred body to continue flowing. "It's all because of you, Xiaoyao." Wu Hu knew. If it weren't for Jun Xiaoyao, the sacred body lineage would have been destroyed. In this great world, the sacred body lineage would probably no longer have its glory. Jun Xiaoyao had single-handedly saved the entire branch of the Saint Physique. "Senior Wu Hu, I'm here this time because I have something to ask you." As Jun Xiaoyao spoke, he took out the Heart of Protector that he had obtained from signing in. Wu Hu was stunned for a moment. He could feel the terrifying, majestic energy of the Heart of Protector. This Heart of Protector can only be refined by those who truly have the desire to protect the world. If it's refined, it can at least unconditionally raise one's realm below the quasi-emperor realm. "Senior Wu Hu, you're now a godly venerable. You can completely refine it when you cultivate to the Tao Lord realm. In that case, a sacred body of the ancients at the quasi-emperor level will be absolutely terrifying and can even compete with a real emperor." Jun Xiaoyao said. Wu Hu was also stunned for a moment. Then, he directly refused. "No, it's too precious. Jun Xiaoyao, you're the hope of the sacred body lineage. It should be left for you to use. If it were anyone else, they would definitely be greedy for such a precious thing. It was even enough to cause brothers to turn against each other." However, Wu Hu directly refused and asked Jun Xiaoyao to keep it for his own use. "Senior Wu Hu, just accept it. I have my own plans," Jun Xiaoyao said. "I don't deserve it." Wu Hu still refused. He had been indebted to Jun Xiaoyao enough. Jun Xiaoyao had even refined 50 drops of sacred body blood essence to help him break the shackles of the sacred body. Now that he had to give such a precious treasure to him, Wu Hu felt guilty. "Senior Wu Hu, you should know what the duty of the sacred body lineage is. I think the real turmoil is not far away. When that time comes, the world will need a sacred body. Although my cultivation speed is not slow, it's impossible for me to reach the quasi-emperor level in such a short time. Jun Xiaoyao's words made Wu Hu fall silent. Indeed, calming the turmoil was the duty of the sacred body lineage. This is an opportunity, but it's also a responsibility, Jun Xiaoyao said. In the end, Wu Hu accepted it. Jun Xiaoyao, in the future, whether it's to protect the imperial court or to quell the turmoil, I, Wu Hu, will not shirk my responsibility. Wu Hu said, a man of character was a man of his word. He meant what he said. By the way, Senior Wu Hu, there's one more thing. Jun Xiaoyao told him about the Void Sky realm and took out the drop of flawless sacred blood. Seeing this drop of sacred blood, even Wu Hu's eyes burst out with divine light. He was very surprised. It seems that Senior Wu Hu knows something, Jun Xiaoyao said. Wu Hu thought for a moment and said, you want to know who the owner of this drop of flawless sacred blood is? That's right, Jun Xiaoyao said. Then do you know who created the desolate ancient temple? Wu Hu asked. Jun Xiaoyao shook his head slightly. Tracing back to the creation of the desolate ancient temple was too long ago. Could it be that the owner of this drop of flawless sacred blood? Jun Xiaoyao came to a realization. That's right. This most primitive and perfect sacred blood seems to have activated the blood in my body. The only thing I can think of is the legendary founder of the desolate ancient temple, the Desolate Emperor, the strongest sacred body of the desolate in history. Wu Hu said in a solemn tone. The Desolate Emperor, Jun Xiaoyao muttered to himself. Suddenly, a thought flashed through his mind as he remembered the clues left by the endless great emperor. Mars appeared, the forgotten land, desolate. Could that desolate be the Desolate Emperor? Chapter 1202. Jun Xiaoyao wanted to know more about the Desolate Emperor. Protector Wu told him everything he knew without holding anything back. Actually, there aren't many records about the Desolate Emperor, even in the desolate sacred palace. After all, it was too long ago. But as the founder of the desolate sacred palace, the Desolate Emperor's strength is undeniable. He was the strongest sacred body of the ancients in history. In his era, the Desolate Emperor single-handedly made the sacred body of the ancients the second of the 3,000 physiques, surpassing the chaotic body, the eternal deity body, and other nature-defying physiques. In that era, the Desolate Emperor was almost the symbol of invincibility. Even the tyrant body of the great accomplishment dared not come out, hiding like a mouse. That was the most glorious era of the sacred body lineage. Wu Hu could not hide his excitement when he said this. After all, the sacred body of the ancients was not restricted by the heavenly path in that era, and there were no shackles on it, so it could reach the extreme and the most perfect state. It was not like now, where the sacred body lineage had withered to such a state after being shackled by the heavenly path and cursed by the sacred body. If it were not for Jun Xiaoyao, the sacred body lineage would not have been able to shine in this golden era. Wu Hu sighed when he thought of this. Even Jun Xiaoyao was surprised. What kind of glory was that? Even the tyrant body of the great accomplishment did not dare to come out. How strong was the Desolate Emperor? What happened after that? Jun Xiaoyao was curious. If the Desolate Emperor was really that strong, he should be able to continue the glory of the sacred body lineage. The sacred body lineage would not have fallen to such a state. There are no detailed records of what happened after that. We only know that the Desolate Emperor encountered an unprecedented taboo enemy, which was not recorded in the ancient history. Wu Hu's tone was extremely serious when he said this. Jun Xiaoyao's eyes flashed. The Desolate Emperor's strength was beyond doubt. He was almost at the peak of the sacred body lineage. However, a terrifying enemy appeared, one that could compete with the Desolate Emperor. During the Desolate Emperor's era, even the tyrant body of the sacred body could only admit defeat. Who was the taboo existence that could compete with the Desolate Emperor? Are there no records of the Desolate Emperor's great enemies? Jun Xiaoyao asked. Wu Hu shook his head and said, it was indeed not recorded. It was as if it had been deliberately erased. In the later generations, there were some seniors with saintly bodies who tried to find the answer, but they couldn't find any clues. I only know that the desolate ancient sacred palace was built during the era of the desolate emperor. The divine being's duty to quell the chaos was passed on after that. Wu's words made Jun Xiaoyao fall into deep thought. If the desolate emperor is doing this for the sake of quelling chaos, then it should be related to the nine heavens. Could it be the doing of a forbidden zone? Jun Xiaoyao speculated. Protector Wu shook his head and said, it shouldn't be possible. In that era, the desolate emperor was too powerful. Even the forbidden zones didn't want to provoke him. Jun Xiaoyao recalled the clues he had obtained in the ruins of the underworld beneath the Black Abyss. The curse of the saintly body was related to the immortal island, a life-forbidden zone. At that time, Jun Xiaoyao had been trying to figure it out. The immortal island was very likely to be related to the underworld, and they were targeting this saintly body together. Wu Hu seemed to have thought of something and said, although those seniors with saintly bodies didn't find the truth, they vaguely caught some clues. They even investigated that the shackles, curses, and so on of the saintly body might be a conspiracy that only appeared after the era of the desolate emperor. Jun Xiaoyao fell into deep thought. He vaguely sensed a huge conspiracy, a shocking conspiracy that spanned across ancient history. This shocking conspiracy seemed to be targeting the saintly body. But in fact, the saintly body was just an obstacle, a stumbling block, which was why it needed to be eliminated. The deeper meaning and purpose behind it were the most important. Jun Xiaoyao seemed to see a terrifying black hand behind the scenes. It was even possible that it was the forbidden enemy that the desolate emperor encountered. And if that was the case, the level of that black hand was at least at the level of the ultimate calamity. It might even be more dangerous and unpredictable. Although the ultimate calamity spread black blood, created darkness, and polluted the world. But it didn't have too many calculations. And this black hand behind the scenes not only had extremely terrifying strength, but could also become the desolate emperor's enemy. Its wisdom should also be incomparably terrifying, far more scheming than the ultimate calamity. And it also involved the nine heavens forbidden zone, the underworld, and other forces. It could be said that it was too complicated. Not to mention Jun Xiaoyao. Even a real great emperor would find it difficult to investigate the truth. Jun Xiaoyao, I can feel that you're under a lot of pressure. The matter of the saintly body shouldn't be on your shoulders alone, Wu Hu said. It's okay. Thank you, Senior Wu Hu, for clearing my doubts. At least I found some clues and sorted it out. Oh, right. As Jun Xiaoyao spoke, he divided a part of the drop of desolate emperor's blood and handed it to Wu Hu. Senior Wu Hu, you can take this and refine it. This is too precious. Wu Hu was shocked. If the heart of world protection was extremely precious, then this desolate emperor's blood was priceless to the saintly body. Senior Wu Hu, I also need your help. The stronger you are, the better it is for me, for the imperial court, and for the entire saintly body. Protector Wu sighed when he heard this, but he still accepted it. Jun Xiaoyao's kindness to him could no longer be described with words. Senior Wu Hu, I really hope that the saintly body will be able to create new glory. Jun Xiaoyao smiled slightly. Then he left. Looking at Jun Xiaoyao's slender and thin back, Wu Hu was a little absent-minded. He vaguely seemed to see the shadow of the desolate emperor, and also the shadow of the no-end emperor. But in the end, all the shadows disappeared. Jun Xiaoyao was still that Jun Xiaoyao. He didn't have to become anyone, because he would surpass. If there is anyone who is qualified to shake the desolate emperor's position or even surpass him, then only you, Jun Xiaoyao, Wu Hu sighed. Then, he cheered himself up and began to cultivate. With the heart of protector and a part of the desolate emperor's blood, Wu Hu was confident that when the chaos came, he could help Jun Xiaoyao to bloom the glory of the saintly body. On the other side, Jun Xiaoyao left the bronze immortal palace. As he crossed the void, he was thinking he had learned too many clues this time. No matter what, the clues left behind by the no-end emperor point to the forgotten kingdom. If that desolate really refers to the desolate emperor, then does that mean that the desolate emperor left something there? How did the ancient Xian Ting get the desolate emperor's things? Jun Xiaoyao was thinking, but he was sure of one thing. He had to go to the Forgotten Kingdom. Not to mention Di Hao Yin. Even if there was no Di Hao Yin, the Xian Ting would not let me enter their treasure land. So I have to think of a way. Jun Xiaoyao's eyes flashed. He was not a brute who only had talent and strength. In terms of shrewdness and scheming, Ji Qing, he could only be considered as a sister in front of Jun Xiaoyao. Just as Jun Xiaoyao was thinking, in the distance, a woman in a colorful dress suddenly approached. She had a faint demonic aura on her body. Greetings to the son of God of the Jun family. My master invites you. The woman in the colorful dress bowed respectfully. She looked at Jun Xiaoyao, and a strange light flashed in her eyes. Jun Xiaoyao glanced at the woman in the colorful dress and said, "It's the little demon empress." Chapter 1203. Sensing the demonic aura of the woman in the colorful dress, Jun Xiaoyao immediately knew who wanted to invite him. It just so happened that Jun Xiaoyao also wanted to meet this mysterious little demon empress. Although Jun Xiaoyao had rejected the little demon empress last time, however, she should have some information as well. Not long after, Jun Xiaoyao arrived at the Demon God Palace. With his current strength, he could easily tear the void and travel hundreds of millions of miles. Son of God, please. The demon empress is waiting for the son of God in the palace. The woman in the colorful dress said respectfully. Jun Xiaoyao nodded slightly and entered the luxurious and gorgeous palace. Ah, there is actually such a person in this world that even the demon empress is concerned about. The woman in the colorful dress sighed. Jun Xiaoyao arrived at the palace. The layout was also very simple. There was only a large red bed with curtains hanging low, partially concealing a delicate, enchanting, and alluring figure. Even though there was a layer of gauze, he could still feel Linglong's curves. Jun Xiaoyao didn't need to see the real person to know. The little demon empress's reputation in the Huangtian immortal realm was not unfounded. Little brother Xiaoyao, we finally meet. Is this bed big enough? Can you use it? The little demon empress' sweet voice sounded. It was like a cat's paw, tickling one's heart. Of course, Jun Xiaoyao had seen all kinds of storms. He had also seen a lot of women, so he wouldn't lose his composure. The little demon empress' words were no longer a hint, but a clear indication. Unfortunately, Jun Xiaoyao didn't fall for it. Senior demon empress, I didn't come here to reminisce about the past. You're still calling me senior. What did you say before? The little demon empress said coquettishly. Yao Yao. Jun Xiaoyao was helpless. Yes, I like to hear little brother call me that. The little demon empress said happily. Yao Yao, why don't we be honest with each other? There's no need to hide, Jun Xiaoyao said generously. Hearing this, the little demon empress said in surprise, Be honest with each other? Then shouldn't little brother Xiaoyao take off his clothes first? Jun Xiaoyao was speechless and didn't know what to say. He wasn't talking about being honest with each other. The little demon empress was even better than him. It could be said that a normal man couldn't take it. All right, I won't tease you. From within the red curtain, a delicate, snow-white foot suddenly stretched out and then slowly lifted the curtain. The little demon empress' beautiful face finally appeared in front of Jun Xiaoyao. She was wearing a light red dress that covered her proud body. Not only wasn't it a empress, it had a different kind of beauty. Her, to look to her, to her, to her, to her, to her, her, to her, to her, to her, to her, to her, to be to her, to be. Her beautiful face seemed to make the world lose its color, especially the beauty mark beside her red lips. It gave the little demon empress a soul-stirring charm. This was the little demon empress whose beauty had spread throughout the Huangtian immortal realm. What, are you stunned? The little demon empress giggled. She was wearing cool clothes. A pair of long, snow-white legs were unscrupulously exposed. Jun Xiaoyao didn't deliberately pretend to be a moralist. Instead, he looked at her generously. Flowers need to be appreciated by someone to show the value of their beauty, Jun Xiaoyao said with a smile. Then why did you reject Yao Yao back then? The little demon empress seemed a little wronged. When a charming woman was wronged, it was simply fatal. Jun Xiaoyao smiled and said, "These are two different things. Is that so? Sai, I'm so sad. For you, I even rejected the cooperation with Xian Ting and Di Haotian." The little demon empress said with a sigh. Di Haotian came to find you. Why? Jun Xiaoyao thought about it and was a little surprised. The little demon empress didn't hide anything and told Jun Xiaoyao about Di Haotian's visit. To be honest, even I was a little surprised. That Di Haotian seems to know everything. I feel like I've been seen through. It's very unpleasant, the little demon empress said. Jun Xiaoyao was also puzzled. He recalled Di Haotian's performance in the Void Sky realm. That feeling of having everything under control, as if he had already experienced it once. Jun Xiaoyao's mind suddenly flashed. As a transmigrator, his mind was obviously more open. It could be rebirth? Jun Xiaoyao thought of this and felt that it was a little unexpected. In a fantasy world, there could be reincarnation, and so on. But this kind of rebirth from the past was almost impossible. One had to know that even a myth emperor could set foot in the river of time and set up a plan for eternity. But it was impossible to personally reincarnate into the past, because that would involve unimaginably terrifying karma. That kind of karma, even a myth emperor had to be cautious. So, even a myth emperor had limitations in interfering with the past and future. And although Di Haotian was a monster, he definitely didn't have this kind of power. But thinking of Di Haotian's previous expressions and actions, he was indeed no different from a reborn person. He knew what opportunities there were in the Void Sky realm and knew that the little demon empress was from the 9 heavens and had a great background. If he really is a reborn person, then according to the routine, there should be some kind of cheat that brought him here. But is that really the case? Jun Xiaoyao had a nagging feeling that something was off. And Jun Xiaoyao also found a fatal flaw. It was that Di Haotian seemed to be unable to predict his actions. In the Void Sky realm, all the opportunities were obtained by Jun Xiaoyao. In other words, Di Haotian is a reborn person, but he doesn't have any memories of me. Because I'm a fateless person? Jun Xiaoyao thought a lot. He felt that Di Haotian wasn't as simple as being reborn. There seemed to be a layer of dark clouds behind him. Even Di Haotian himself might not have noticed. It was hard to imagine that just based on a message from the little demon empress. Jun Xiaoyao guessed Di Haotian's background pretty close. This was the most terrifying thing about Jun Xiaoyao. Deep shrewdness and calculation. Little brother Xiaoyao, what did you think? The little demon empress asked lazily. Interesting, very interesting. Jun Xiaoyao smiled. After knowing that Di Haotian might be a reborn person, Jun Xiaoyao wasn't afraid. Instead, he felt that it was more interesting. That's right. It's more interesting when it's a bit challenging, Jun Xiaoyao thought to himself. Otherwise, it would be very boring to be invincible all the way. What's interesting? Is that Di Haotian? The little demon empress asked curiously. Nothing. It's really surprising that you could reject him. I think we can be friends. Jun Xiaoyao stretched out a hand. The little demon empress chuckled and suddenly leaned forward. She didn't shake Jun Xiaoyao's hand. Instead, she stuck out her tongue and licked Jun Xiaoyao's finger. This concubine doesn't just want to be friends with little brother. Jun Xiaoyao blushed with shame. When a woman was hungry, it was too scary. In the end, Jun Xiaoyao left the demon god palace. As for the power behind the little demon empress, she didn't reveal too much, saying that it wasn't time yet. Jun Xiaoyao didn't care too much, because he didn't even think about borrowing the power of the 9 heavens. As long as the little demon empress didn't become his enemy, it was enough. Although the reborn Di Haotian has grasped a lot of information about the future, he can't predict my future, and it's even more impossible for him to know my plans. Since that's the case, Jun Xiaoyao thought for a while and smiled. Those familiar with him knew that this smile meant that Jun Xiaoyao was going to do something again. Chapter 1204. After leaving the Demon God Palace, Jun Xiaoyao returned to the Jun family and spent some peaceful days there. As for Jiang Ro, she had told Jun Xiaoyao more than once. Luo Xiangling was a very virtuous girl. Jun Xiaoyao actually wanted to say, "Mom, Luo Xiangling is old enough to be your mom." but he still didn't say anything. Zhang Ro only hoped that he could start a family soon. This was every mother's most simple wish. Jun Xiaoyao originally wanted to confirm the date of his engagement with Jiang Xingyi and Jiang Luoli. But now so many things had happened, including the Huang Emperor's matter, the curse of the sacred body, and the possible mastermind behind the scenes. There was also Di Haoyin, the reincarnated person. The forgotten nation was about to appear. Jun Xiaoyao really couldn't spare too much energy. Returning to the Jun family this time could be considered as taking a break from his busy schedule. On the other side, in a desolate ancient star field near the Well of Heaven Ascension, on a dead planet without any life, at a certain moment, some figures suddenly appeared. They all had the aura of the nine heavens. Obviously, this was a group of creatures from the nine heavens. This kid from the Jun family is really too arrogant. He doesn't take us, the forbidden families, and the forbidden zone behind us seriously. A heavenly venerable said coldly. He was from the Ji family. That's right. The Jun family is used to being domineering in the mystic realm. But they don't know that this world is very big. The Jun family can't control the world with one hand, someone from the Yu family said. This kid actually dares to look down on the forbidden zone. If it weren't for the ultimate killing array and the supreme beings in the forbidden zone that haven't awakened, the Saint Spirit ruins behind our family would be enough to cause heavy damage to the Jun family. A powerhouse from the Jin family said coldly. The three great forbidden families descended to the mortal world, and in the end, their vanguard was completely wiped out. The death of their clansmen was secondary. The problem was that the originally noble status of the forbidden families was pulled down from the altar by Jun Xiaoyao alone. This made some forces in the mystic realm feel that the so-called forbidden families of the nine heavens were just SOSO. This was what they hated the most. Is your Yu clan going to target Jun Xiaoyao again? I heard that the peerless genius of the immortal mausoleum, Fairy Tianlai, personally descended to the lower world and was polite to that Jun Xiaoyao. The Jin family member asked. It doesn't matter. There are different factions in the celestial mausoleum. We don't have to listen to Yun Tianlai's faction, said someone from the Yu clan. Next, we should plan how to retaliate. However, we shouldn't show ourselves directly. After all, if the Jun family really goes crazy, we won't have an easy time either, said the cultivator from the Ji family. Although they were backed by the Forbidden Zone, if the Jun family really went crazy, the Forbidden Zone might abandon them. Just as the three great clans were discussing, suddenly, a fiery light flashed from afar. In the end, it transformed into a purple-clothed, purple-haired man with purple divine flames all over his body. Yes, you are. The people of the three great clans frowned as they looked at the newcomer. I am the young emperor of the Xian Ting, Purple Flame Lord of Heaven, a subordinate of Di Haoyin. The purple-haired man was Purple Flame Lord of Heaven, the third of the 18 horsemen of Yin under Di Haoyin's command. Di Haoyin had arranged for him to keep an eye on the movements of the forbidden clans. Xian Ting, what do you want? The people of the three great forbidden clans asked coldly. There was no conflict between the forbidden clans and the Xian Ting for the time being. Of course, there was no friendship between them. The two sides would mind their own business for the time being. Are you all thinking of taking revenge on Jun Xiaoyao? Purple Flame Lord of Heaven asked with a smile. What? Is the Xian Ting so meddlesome? Said the cultivator from the Ji family coldly. The Xian Ting was an overlord force and used to be the ruler of the mystic realm. In the past, there had been some conflicts with the nine heavens. Although there was no conflict for the time being, the forbidden clans did not like the Xian Ting. Nothing. I just think that we have the same goal, Purple Flame Lord of Heaven said with a smile. Oh, the people of the three great forbidden clans were suspicious. They thought that the Xian Ting wanted to meddle in their affairs against Jun Xiaoyao. Who would have thought that they would have a helper? I have a suggestion. I wonder if the three great forbidden clans can accept it? Purple Flame Lord of Heaven said. Go ahead. If we really want to target Jun Xiaoyao, we obviously can't do it directly, let alone openly. So the only way is to assassinate him, and we can't do it. Purple Flame Lord of Heaven said. So, you mean there are three immortal killers in the mystic realm? The Jin dynasty can do it, Purple Flame Lord of Heaven said. Are you kidding? With the Jun family's deterrence in the mystic realm, even the immortal killers of the Jin dynasty would not dare to do it, right? The people of the Forbidden Clan sneered. Now the Jun family's prestige in the mystic realm was enough to be on par with the Xianting. So, we need to give enough benefits and pay a huge price to make the Jin dynasty willing to take such a big risk, Purple Flame Lord of Heaven said. In the end, they want us to bleed together. The three great forbidden clans were not fools. Trying to assassinate Jun Xiaoyao would definitely cause a huge commotion. The Jun family would definitely be furious and take revenge. For the assassin dynasty to take such a huge risk, the price they would have to pay would be terrifying. That's why we need to cooperate. The young king has agreed to give us some attractive conditions. Of course, you have to help too. For example, if there is a big turmoil in the future, the Jin dynasty can guarantee that they will be safe. You can even let them move to the Nine Heavens and get the resources and cultivation arts of the Forbidden Clans. Purple Flame Lord of Heaven said slowly. Of course, he did not come up with these ideas. He was not qualified to make the decision. It was Di Haotian who had instructed him to do so. The three great Forbidden Clans fell into deep thought. At this moment, there was another fluctuation in the void, and a faint voice was heard. "We're also interested in this plan." A few figures appeared. Their bodies were surrounded by a hazy blue light and carried a sense of transcendence. You are from the Grey Clan?" Sensing the ethereal aura that was like the heavens, a strange look flashed across the Purple Flame monarch's eyes. "Yes, we are the servants of Zhou Tian Daozi." Those people's voices were cold and arrogant. They were even more superior than the beings in the Nine Heavens. Servants of the Daozi? Purple Flame Lord of Heaven was slightly surprised. He had heard Di Haotian mention it before. There were not many geniuses in the mystic realm who could catch his eye. The Grey Clan's Daozi was one of them. Rumor had it that there were 8 Daozi in the Grey Clan. They were called the 8 Sons of Heaven. Zhou Tian Daozi was only one of them. They were favored by the Heavenly Tao and favored by the Heavenly Tao. They were the absolute tide of this world. The Grey Clan has also appeared. Even the people from the forbidden families in the Nine Heavens were a little surprised. They had also heard of the Grey Clan. However, the Grey Clan was too mysterious. Even during the turmoil in the past, the Grey Clan had hidden behind the scenes and benefited secretly. They had never truly appeared. Someone from the Grey Clan said, "Zhou Tian Daozi is unhappy because the immortal root of the 6 paths of reincarnation was stolen. However, Jun Xiaoyao is not qualified for him to personally take action. That's why we are here to kill this sinner who blasphemes the heavens and the Grey Clan." In their eyes, Jun Xiaoyao was a sinner. A sinner should be killed. That's even better. The price we pay for the cooperation of the 3 forces is enough to make the 3 assassins of the Jin dynasty go all out to kill him. Purple Flame, Lord of Heaven, smiled. It could be said that no one had expected this. It was just a plan to target Jun Xiaoyao. However, it provoked the forbidden families of the Nine Heavens, the Xianting, and the Grey Clan. It could be said that if this plan really succeeded, Jun Xiaoyao would be killed. It would definitely cause the biggest storm in the immortal region. After all, if the Jun family was angry, the heavens would be shaken. However, they had already made up their minds. Because Jun Xiaoyao's cultivation speed was too fast. It had not been long before he had broken through to the lesser heavenly venerable level. Moreover, he could kill a great heavenly venerable with one punch and had the power of the extreme state. If this dragged on for a few more years, wouldn't no one below the Boundary Emperor be able to stop Jun Xiaoyao? Therefore, these 3 forces did not want to give Jun Xiaoyao room to grow. Even if the Jun family was protecting him, they would still take action. Chapter 1205. In the blink of an eye, several months had passed. Jun Xiaoyao was also preparing to leave the Jun family, because some news said that the Chaos Demon Star in the Huntian Immortal Realm had changed. It was very likely that the Forgotten Kingdom would appear soon. Therefore, Jun Xiaoyao had to make preparations in advance. Unexpectedly, the situation was different. Luo Xiangling said that she wanted to stay in the Jun family. The people here are very good to me. They make me feel very relaxed. It's more relaxed and comfortable than staying in the Immortal Academy, Luo Xiangling said. Jun Xiaoyao nodded slightly. In fact, he also knew that Luo Xiangling and Jiang Rou got along very well during this period of time. He had always been away, and Jun Wuhui almost never returned home. Therefore, Jun Xiaoyao was happy to see someone accompanying Jiang Rou. Well, Xiangling, just treat the Jun family as your own home, Jun Xiaoyao said with a smile. My own home? Luo Xiangling's delicate face blushed slightly. Was that what he meant? Jun Xiaoyao was stunned and also noticed the ambiguity in his words. This was not the meaning of turning Luo Xiangling into the daughter-in-law of the Jun family. Jun Xiaoyao was too lazy to explain anything. He rode the Fufeng of Gozhouzian and drove away from the Huangtian immortal realm with little Eversnow. Although everyone in the Jun family liked the little girl, Eversnow. But little Eversnow was still very dependent on Jun Xiaoyao and only wanted to stay by his side. In the endless universe, a blue sky rock flapped its wings and flew past. Its wings cut through the void, and the fluctuations shattered many of the surrounding meteorites. Jun Xiaoyao sat cross-legged on the back of the blue sky rock, and little Eversnow leaned against his side. How should I enter the Forgotten Kingdom? Jun Xiaoyao was thinking. Right, there are also those forbidden families. Are they really so cowardly that after being intimidated by me once, they don't dare to make a move again? Jun Xiaoyao thought to himself. If that was the case, then Jun Xiaoyao would be disappointed, because he thought of a way, but this method needed to beat them at their own game. At this moment, Fufeng of Gozhouzian's voice suddenly sounded. Master, I feel that something is wrong. What's wrong? Jun Xiaoyao had been lost in thought, so he didn't pay attention to his surroundings. After hearing Fufeng's reminder, Jun Xiaoyao, to his surprise, he discovered that the surrounding universe was pitch black. There weren't even 2 or 3 stars. As of the universe was of the universes of the universe. This was not normal. Of Gozhouzian, of the universe of the immortal realm of Gozhouzian. Of course, it's just that. King Fufeng was also confused. Jun Xiaoyao got up from the rock's back and scanned his surroundings, squinting slightly. Then he smiled. Is of the eye of a. After he said that, there was no response from the 4 universes. It was as if Jun Xiaoyao was talking to the air. But after a long moment of dead silence, suddenly a chuckle sounded. As expected of the famous son of God of the Jun family, the great hero who saved the celestial realm. Such determination is indeed admirable. In the void, a group of people in white robes appeared. Their auras were very powerful. They were all 7th realm supreme beings. Their bodies were shrouded in holy light, and there were wings made of intertwined, divine chains of laws on their backs. This group of people was incomparably sacred and holy. They looked like angels in mythical religions. But what didn't match their appearances was the kind of terrifying killing intent that was faintly revealed. That was an extremely murderous aura that was cultivated postnatally. It was an aura that could only be condensed after their hands were stained with the blood of countless people. Looking at it like this group of people gave off the feeling of wolves in sheep's clothing. Under the holy appearance, there were millions of corpses of blood and slaughter. One of the 3 great assassins of the celestial realm, the Jin dynasty, heaven, Jun Xiaoyao said calmly, revealing the identity of the person who came. Heaven sounded like an incomparably beautiful word, but it was the terrifying assassin of the celestial realm. The Jin dynasty had existed since ancient times and was hidden in the darkness. They claimed to be able to extradite people to heaven. As long as they attacked, there would be no mistakes. Even when Xian Ting was establishing order, they could still exist. Because if there was light in this world, there would definitely be darkness. The Son of God is indeed knowledgeable. That's right, we are from heaven. Someone from heaven spoke. They were very calm and leisurely. It didn't seem like they were nervous about an assassination at all. Jun Xiaoyao's heart skipped a beat. Only then did he understand why they were so calm. Why? Do you want to send a message? or ask for help. It's impossible. You have already stepped into the forbidden sky of the celestial realm set by the great nine-winged angel, the person from heaven said. Jun Xiaoyao's eyes flashed. In the assassin Jin dynasty's heaven, the strength of the assassins was divided by the wings of law on their backs. The great nine-winged angel of heaven was the strongest existence at the quasi-emperor level. It was no wonder that even the quasi-emperor Fufeng of Gojoseon didn't notice. When an expert of the same level secretly used a method, it was indeed sometimes difficult to detect. Although Jun Xiaoyao didn't know what the forbidden sky of the celestial realm was, he clearly understood that it was a method to isolate them from the outside world. That was why the people from heaven were so calm. They looked at Jun Xiaoyao as if they were looking at a caged beast. At this moment, another cold and deep voice sounded. This place doesn't only have the forbidden sky of the celestial realm of heaven, but also the heaven-bewildering array of my secluded country. It can be said that even a quasi-emperor wouldn't be able to deduce this place in a short period of time, let alone find you, Jun Xiaoyao. Another group of people dressed in black appeared. They all wore white masks on their faces. Those masks were carved from the bones of living creatures and were incomparably sinister and terrifying. It was another group of experts with shocking, murderous auras. This was not an aura that they deliberately released. Instead, it flowed out naturally. The murderous aura emitted by this group of people was no weaker than the people from heaven. One of the three great assassins of the Jin dynasty, the secluded country. Jun Xiaoyao's eyes gradually turned cold. The secluded country was a country in the netherworld. They were a group of ruthless death gods. As long as there were enough benefits and money to buy their lives, they would kill for anyone. There were also rumors that the predecessor of the secluded country seemed to have some connection with the underworld. That was why they knew all kinds of terrifying and strange curses, assassination techniques, and so on. At this moment, even Fufeng of Gojoseon's heart was beating like a drum, because he vaguely sensed the aura of more than one quasi-emperor, and it seemed that they were of a higher level than him. After all, quasi-emperors were also subdivided from one tribulation to 9 tribulations. Fufeng of Gojoseon had only become a quasi-emperor recently, and his level was not even as high as Luo Xiangling's. He was only a quasi-emperor who had passed 2 tribulations. But in his senses, there were at least 3 to 4 tribulations of quasi-emperors. However, it wasn't over yet. Another group of people dressed in blood-red cloaks appeared. One of the 3 great assassins of the Jin dynasty, the Blood Pagoda. Jun Xiaoyao sighed. They were all here today. He remembered that he had once killed a successor of the Blood Pagoda on the ancient road of the ultimate realm. This assassin of the Jin dynasty was equally terrifying and not weaker than the heavenly kingdom and the secluded country. I really didn't expect that the 3 great assassins of the Jin dynasty would one day put on such a big lineup and join forces to assassinate a person. Moreover, it's a junior. Yes, Jun Xiaoyao. Even if you die, it's enough to make you famous. This is the most extravagant lineup to send you to the other side. In order to kill a junior heavenly venerable like you, even a quasi-emperor has taken action. You should die in peace. The 3 great assassins of the Jin dynasty spoke. It could be said that this was definitely using a sledgehammer to kill a chicken. It was a waste of talent. Such an extravagant lineup was more than enough to assassinate a true quasi-emperor. But now it was just to assassinate a young genius. Even if this genius was Jun Xiaoyao, it was still a little too much. But from this, it could be seen how cautious the 3 great assassins of the Jin dynasty were about this assassination. To them, this was a huge gamble. If they won, the 3 great assassins of the Jin dynasty would receive endless benefits. And if they failed, the consequences of angering the Jun family were unimaginable even for the 3 great assassins of the Jin dynasty. Chapter 1206. That was definitely a fatal crisis for Jun Xiaoyao at the moment. With such a lineup, let alone killing Jun Xiaoyao, it was more than enough to kill a quasi-emperor. Even if Jun Xiaoyao was protected by the second tribulation quasi-emperor Fufeng of Gojoseon, it would not be enough. Furthermore, the three assassins of the Jin dynasty had expected that the quasi-emperor Luo Xiangling would follow them. Now that Luo Xiangling had not followed them, it was undoubtedly more advantageous for their assassination. Since the three assassins of the Jin dynasty had made up their minds to assassinate Jun Xiaoyao, naturally, they could not treat him casually. Underestimating the enemy was a mistake that an assassin organization would never make. Not to mention that the three assassins of the Jin dynasty were betting their futures and fates on this assassination. Therefore, a quasi-emperor level assassin had come this time, although he had not shown himself yet. No one would be calm in the face of such an ambush and assassination. However, Jun Xiaoyao was very calm. He even chuckled as he asked, "Do you know what you are doing?" "Of course we know," the three assassins of the Jin dynasty said coldly, but they were not in a hurry. The divine domain sky restriction and the great bewildering formation had completely isolated this place, making it impossible to deduce in a short period of time. Even a quasi-emperor would not be able to break it in a short period of time. Then you should also know that even if you succeed, the consequences are not something you can bear, Jun Xiaoyao said coldly. The three assassins of the Jin dynasty were stunned. If someone else had said this, they would have laughed coldly. In the immortal domain, there were not many people that they did not dare to assassinate. However, they could not refute Jun Xiaoyao's words. Jun Xiaoyao was one of the most respected people in the Nine Heavens immortal domain. He was backed by one of the most ancient and powerful clans in the immortal domain. If it weren't for the fact that the buyer behind them had a powerful background, they wouldn't have dared to accept this order. Then there's no need for Son of God to worry, because by that time, you'll already be dead, said the expert from heaven coldly. It seems that the person who wants to buy my life has given you a lot of confidence. Jun Xiaoyao chuckled. You don't need to beat around the bush. Not telling who the buyer is the most basic virtue of an assassin. An assassin from seclusion sneered. Jun Xiaoyao shook his head and sighed. Actually, even if you don't tell me, I can roughly guess it. He did not expect the Forbidden Clan to be so efficient. However, this was exactly what he wanted. However, Jun Xiaoyao believed that just the Nine Heavens taboo clans alone wouldn't be enough to satisfy the appetite of the Jin dynasty. After all, it was too risky to assassinate him. Without paying a huge price, how could they convince the three assassins of the Jin dynasty? Therefore, there should be other forces involved in this. Di Haoyan. Jun Xiaoyao thought of him again. After all, he was one of the few people with a bit of intelligence, and he even had a rebirth cheat. He should also want to get rid of him as soon as possible, but he also did not want the Jun family and the Xianting to completely fall out. That would not be good for anyone. Moreover, as someone who had been reborn, Di Haoyan should also know about many opportunities. These opportunities could also be used as bargaining chips to make a deal with the three assassins of the Jin dynasty. In addition, Jun Xiaoyao also thought of the Grey Clan. After all, he had snatched the opportunity of the heavenly cycle Taoist in the Void Sky world. With the arrogant temperament of the Grey Clan, they should not be able to tolerate this. And the Grey Clan's foundation was enough to participate in this plan to kill him. As for whether the Archean royalty, the Holy Spirit clan, and so on, would participate, Jun Xiaoyao was not sure. However, the forces of these two factions were very complicated. It should be impossible for them to participate in this plan in a short period of time. In the end, only the underworld was left. Although they had the resentment of the Holy Spirit curse, they had not revealed themselves until now. The only resentment was the Hades bloodline, which was rumored to have broken away from the underworld. However, the underworld would not target him so early. The mastermind behind this is the taboo family of the Nine Heavens, the Xianting, the Grey Clan. Am I right? Jun Xiaoyao clasped his hands behind his back and looked at the three assassins of the Jin dynasty. The three assassins of the Jin dynasty did not change their expressions. This was the professional quality of an assassin. However, they were surprised in their hearts. This Jun Xiaoyao's real monster did not seem to be his talent. It was his intelligence. You don't need to talk. Today is the day you die. The three assassins of the Jin dynasty were full of murderous intent. At this time, a young man and woman walked out of the heaven. They both had 4 wings on their backs and a bloody smell. Obviously, many creatures had died in their hands. Lords, please let us do it. Jun Xiaoyao is the best whetstone for us. The man of the young man and woman said. They looked very similar. They were twins, and their eyes were narrow with a sense of coldness. It's the twin assassins of the heaven. They're twins. They have different bodies and are united. When they carry out assassination missions, their success rate is 100%. Voices came from a secluded nation and the Blood Pagoda. Obviously, the twin assassins were very famous in the assassin circle. They were one of the most famous young prodigies. And now, they wanted to use Jun Xiaoyao as a whetstone. No, he's an ultimate heavenly venerable. He once killed a great heavenly venerable with one punch, someone from heaven said. At this moment, the void suddenly split open, and the power of Sub-Emperor surged. A ball of light shot toward Jun Xiaoyao. How dare you? Fufeng of Gojoseon attacked. His life and death were linked to Jun Xiaoyao. If Jun Xiaoyao died, he wouldn't be able to live either. However, from another direction, another hand of laws reached out and collided with Fufeng of Gojoseon. With a loud bang, the void exploded. Fufeng of Gojoseon's blood and chi churned as he retreated hundreds of steps. A fore-tribulation sub-emperor, Fufeng of Gojoseon's expression was extremely ugly. At this moment, bright shackles appeared on Jun Xiaoyao's body. It was the ball of light that had just shot over. It was made of a special kind of mithril and had the ability to absorb the power of laws and limit one's realm. It's the spirit lock. It seems that the Lord has given you a chance to train, someone from heaven said. The spirit lock could limit one's magic power and realm. Jun Xiaoyao's strength was far beyond his peers. If there were no restrictions, the result would be obvious. The twin assassins of the heaven were somewhat unhappy. They actually wanted to challenge Jun Xiaoyao in his complete form. Me too. A cold and hoarse voice was heard. A man walked out from secluded state and took off the white mask on his face, revealing a face as pale as a sheet of paper, just like an origami doll. It's the Grim Reaper. Rumor has it that he's the only monster in the younger generation of the secluded country to have completed 10 hell-level missions in a row. As soon as this person took off his white bone mask, the other 2 assassins from the Jin dynasty were shocked. Those who could walk out at this time and wanted to use Jun Xiaoyao as practice were not ordinary people. Even the twin assassins looked at the Grim Reaper with a dignified expression. They were competitors competing for the title of the young king of the assassin circle. The Blood Pagoda was naturally not to be outdone. A man in blood-red clothes stepped out. There was a blood-red demonic ring behind him, which seemed to contain tens of thousands of wailing, resentful spirits. This was because too many living beings had been killed. The demonic ring condensed represented great sin, and of course, it was also a symbol of strength. The strongest successor of the Blood Pagoda has also come out. The top geniuses of the Jin dynasty of the 3 assassins walked out. Sparks flew in each other's eyes, obviously wanting to compete. Why don't we compete and see who can kill Jun Xiaoyao in the end? The man in the twin assassin's hand said. Sure, Jun Xiaoyao will be the most precious prey in my hands, the Grim Reaper whispered. To be able to kill someone like Jun Xiaoyao is also a legend, enough to be recorded in the history of the assassin world. The successor of the Blood Pagoda revealed a sinister smile. It was hard to imagine that the hero of the mystic realm, the person with the most noble status and the most monstrous talent. Now, he was treated as prey and a whetstone. If this news spread, it would definitely make many people angry. Chapter 12:07. Jun Xiaoyao, on the other hand, was very calm about it. He had the spirit lock on him, which could limit his strength. That was why these assassins of the Jin dynasty dared to provoke him. Bad guys. You are all bad guys. Little Evers now shrank beside Jun Xiaoyao. Her big eyes, as clear as gemstones, were filled with fear and disgust. Jun Xiaoyao touched her little head, his expression still calm. At this moment, a chain that seemed to be formed by holy light suddenly shot through the void. The top of the chain was connected to a light blade. Those were the twin assassins of heaven, who couldn't help but take the initiative to attack. It could be said that whoever could kill Jun Xiaoyao with their own hands, regardless of whether their reputation was good or bad, it would definitely be passed down for billions of years. This was also a kind of honor for the assassins. Jun Xiaoyao's feet flashed, and he stepped into the void. One of his palms struck out, colliding with a light blade chain. The blade of light, which could easily pierce through even a supreme being, burst into sparks in Jun Xiaoyao's hand. What? The twin assassins were surprised. Wasn't Jun Xiaoyao bound by the spirit lock? How could he still have such strength? You're too weak. Let me, the Grim Reaper of Seclusion whispered. He summoned a 9-story white bone pagoda. Upon closer inspection, the pagoda was densely packed with human heads. This was his spoils of war, a white bone pagoda made of human heads, which had been refined into a top-level supreme weapon by a big shot. The 9-story white bone pagoda fell down, carrying with it a monstrous resentment. This pagoda actually had the effect of soul attack. The cries of countless dead souls poured into Jun Xiaoyao's sea of consciousness. Jun Xiaoyao was completely unaffected. He used the Kunpeng's great magical power and stepped on the Kunpeng's extreme speed. He landed in front of the twin assassins of heaven at an incredible speed. With a punch, the power of 3,000 Sumeru surged, and the void was annihilated. This pair of twins had shocked expressions. Unexpectedly, they had attacked with all their strength, bringing out powerful methods and killing moves, but they were still instantly killed. At this moment, a blood-dripping sword ray appeared. It was the heir of the Blood Pagoda. He wielded the divine sword dripping blood and wanted to sneak up on Jun Xiaoyao. In his hands, the killing Patsane art was used to perfection, and he could easily kill a powerhouse of the same level. In the end, Jun Xiaoyao merely flicked his finger and destroyed the divine sword dripping blood. The successor of the Blood Pagoda coughed up blood and retreated, his face filled with horror. At the same time, the Grim Reaper and the 9-story human skull pagoda emitted turbid yellow water, which carried with it a corrosive aura of the netherworld. That was the water of the yellow springs, which came from the underworld. Just like the spring of life, it was a rarely seen divine water. However, its effect was the opposite of the spring of life. The spring of life was filled with vitality. It was a supreme medicine that could heal the dead and bring bones back to life. As for the water of the yellow springs, it was rumored that anyone who touched it would die. It possessed a terrifying corrosive and cursing power. It was unknown how many vengeful souls had melted in the water of the yellow springs. Seeing this, Jun Xiaoyao sneered. With a flick of his finger, a drop of blood emitting the aura of chaos shot out. That was the chaos blood. Jun Xiaoyao had the chaos physique. The blood in his body was no different from the blood of a true Khanate chaotic physique. It was the rare chaos blood. What were the characteristics of the chaos blood? It contained and devoured everything. Only when all the powers in the world merged together would it be called the chaos blood. After the drop of chaos blood fell into the water of the yellow springs, it caused the water to boil. The various corrosive curses in it disappeared, dissolved by the chaos blood. How is this possible? Even the Grim Reaper, who had always been expressionless, had a change in expression. His yellow springs water lost its effect and became ordinary water. It no longer had the corrosive curse effect. Jun Xiaoyao raised his palm, and lightning flashed. The Thunder Emperor's great theurgy was unleashed. Thousands of light of calamity appeared and fell on the Grim Reaper. The 9-floored pagoda of human heads was blasted into pieces. The Grim Reaper screamed and died as a charred corpse. In the end, only the successor of the Blood Pagoda was left. A wave of cold air surged from his heart. Who was the prey? The spirit lock has no effect. The successor of the Blood Pagoda was terrified. For an assassin, that was already a disqualification. The spirit lock can restrain 30 to 40% of my power, but 10% is enough to deal with you. Jun Xiaoyao pressed down with his palm. Help me, the successor of the Blood Pagoda roared. However, the people of the Blood Pagoda were indifferent. You have lost the right to be the successor of the Blood Pagoda, someone said coldly. The successor of the Blood Pagoda was stunned, and his face was filled with despair. Puff! He was smashed into a bloody mist by Jun Xiaoyao's palm. Who could have imagined? Just a moment ago, these prodigies were still arguing about who could kill Jun Xiaoyao with their own hands. In less than a moment, they were all dead, as expected of the assassins of the Jin dynasty. Your blood is cold. Seeing their own prodigies die in front of them, the three assassins of the Jin dynasty were indifferent. They can't even defeat you with a spirit lock. They don't have the right to continue living. The world of assassins is a survival of the fittest world. The strong live and the weak die, but they are not completely useless. At least they can confirm that you are definitely here in your true body, not an illusory one. If a Dharma body with the spirit lock could kill the three assassins of the Jin dynasty in seconds, then these prodigies were really living like dogs. So, you're using their lives to test my authenticity? Jun Xiaoyao raised his eyebrows. He had to admit that the three assassins of the Jin dynasty were really a professional team. They did not make any mistakes in any way, leaving no trace of luck. The three assassins of the Jin dynasty did not say anything, but obviously that was what they meant. Then you should also find out what trump cards I have. Jun Xiaoyao sneered. His trump cards were not only Jun Wuhui's protective talisman, but also many protective ancient artifacts. Of course, more importantly, there was the Dharma body of the god of faith that he used to fight against calamity. Of course, we have investigated this. After all, even the ultimate calamity died in your hands. But your Dharma body should not have time to accumulate the power of faith. As for other means, we have also prepared. So today, no one can save you. After the three assassins of the Jin dynasty finished speaking, they did not delay any longer and were about to attack. Jun Xiaoyao's lips curled up. Indeed, the three assassins of the Jin dynasty had carefully prepared. It could be said that they had taken many situations into consideration, but there were also things that they did not take into account. The three assassins of the Jin dynasty, and even the real mastermind behind it, would never have thought of this. Jun Xiaoyao had already expected all of this. Or rather, it was exactly what Jun Xiaoyao wanted. Kill. The three assassins of the Jin dynasty attacked. How dare you? Fufeng of Gojoseon attacked, his quasi-emperor aura surging. His life had long been tied to Jun Xiaoyao's. And at this time, the quasi-emperor hiding behind the scenes finally appeared. On heaven's side, endless light surged. A nine-winged angel appeared. This was the quasi-emperor expert of heaven. Then, ghostly energy surged, as if the gates of hell had been opened. The quasi-emperor of the secluded country also appeared. He was dressed in black armor and held a dark heavenly blade. A sea of blood appeared, and a blood-colored figure stepped on the sea of blood. The quasi-emperor expert of the Blood Pagoda also appeared. The quasi-emperors of the Jin dynasty of the three assassins had appeared together. It could be said that this kind of extravagance to surround and kill a young prodigy could be said to be unprecedented in history. This lineup could even kill a quasi-emperor below the fourth tribulation. But Jun Xiaoyao's expression did not change, even if Mount Tai collapsed in front of him. Chapter 1208. The three great assassins were quasi-emperors from the Jin dynasty, and the weakest of them was a third tribulation quasi-emperor. There was also a fourth tribulation quasi-emperor, the great nine-winged angel from heaven. The great nine-winged angel from heaven was a fourth tribulation quasi-emperor. The secluded nation and the Blood Pagoda each had a third tribulation quasi-emperor. And here, there was only Fufeng of Gojoseon, second tribulation quasi-emperor. It could be said that this was a hopeless lineup, and it was impossible to break through. Killing a chicken with a butcher's knife. This time, we are betting on the future of the Jin dynasty. So, son of God of the Jun family, I'm sorry. You saved the celestial realm, but you can't save yourself. The great nine-winged angel of heaven's fourth tribulation quasi-emperor flapped his nine light wings, and his powerful quasi-emperor aura shook the void. Countless nomological laws turned into killing lights and condensed in the void. They also looked like sword feathers. Each sword feather could easily penetrate a giant ancient star. In the eyes of a quasi-emperor, even the monstrous Jun Xiaoyao was like an ant. No matter how heaven-defying and unreasonable Jun Xiaoyao was, he could only cause trouble in the seventh tribulation supremacy realm. And quasi-emperors had already surpassed the seventh tribulation supremacy realm. They had transcended the ninth tribulation to attain the Tao. Although they had yet to attain the complete Tao, they had already figured out a vague path and formed some embryonic forms of the great Tao. Kill! The great nine-winged angel let out a murderous roar, and his voice shook heaven and earth. Of course, they had set up the Divine Realm Sky Restriction Array and the Sky Confusion Array. Therefore, the fluctuations from the battle could not be transmitted to the outside world. You dare to attack Master? You are dead meat. No matter where you go, you will not be able to survive. Fufeng of Gojoseon shouted and rushed out. He was indeed very afraid of death. Otherwise, he would not have been so cowardly when he faced Jun Wuhui back then. But now, he had to attack even if he didn't want to. Moreover, he had experienced Jun Wuhui's strength. Although the quasi-emperors in front of him were all stronger than him, they were only slightly stronger. And facing Jun Wuhui, Fufeng of Gojoseon felt like he was an ant that was being pinched to the fingertips. Jun Wuhui crushed it lightly. They were not on the same level at all. Heh, then I'll kill you first. You guys go deal with him. The great nine-winged angel ordered the others to attack. To be honest, with their status, they really didn't have much interest in attacking a lesser Empyrean. The three quasi-emperors had made their moves. They had to kill Fufeng of Gojoseon in the shortest time possible. That was because he was the only one who caught their attention. He was almost at the same level as them. Jun Xiaoyao, your legend will end in the hands of the assassins of the Jin dynasty. In the future, our assassins of the Jin dynasty will be passed down for generations to come. A mystique, venerable rank assassin from heaven sneered. Passed down through the ages? You're thinking too much. No matter what the outcome is today, there is no place for you in this world. Jun Xiaoyao flicked his sleeve. Violent, chaotic energy surged, and the supreme divine blood in his body boiled. The fourth supreme technique was activated. His overall strength increased by several times. 3,000 Sumeru worlds vibrated, and the universe shook. Then, with a loud bang, the spirit lock on Jun Xiaoyao's body shattered into countless shards and shot out in all directions. Evers now, I'm sorry to have dragged you into this. Step back. Jun Xiaoyao left little Evers now behind him and charged out. Little Evers now was crying, and bean-sized tears kept falling from her big eyes. However, what no one noticed was there seemed to be some kind of strange whirlpool spinning in little Eversnow's eyes, bringing with it a mysterious and unpredictable feeling. Even little Eversnow herself did not notice it. She only felt very panicked and scared, and her heart started to beat faster. As for the three assassins of the Jin dynasty, they ignored little Eversnow for the time being. Their attention was on Jun Xiaoyao. At worst, they could just wait for Jun Xiaoyao to die and then silence him. This was a group of cold-blooded death gods. They would not let little Eversnow live just because she was a child. Jun Xiaoyao, your legend is about to end. A Tao Master of Heaven directly attacked, wanting to end the battle as quickly as possible. At the same time, the Tao Masters of Secluded Nation and Blood Pagoda also attacked. Three big hands reached for Jun Xiaoyao at the same time. All of them wanted to kill Jun Xiaoyao. The reason was very simple. With Jun Xiaoyao's talent, even his corpse was priceless. That drop of chaotic blood could be sold for a sky-high price. Not to mention an entire chaotic body, including Jun Xiaoyao, as the son of God of the Jun family, naturally had all kinds of resources and treasures. It could be said that Jun Xiaoyao himself was a huge moving treasure trove. The three Tao Masters of the Jin dynasty naturally did not want to let go of this benefit. Do you all really think I'm a fat sheep that everyone wants to kill? Jun Xiaoyao sneered. He took out one ancient artifact after another from his spatial artifact. For example, broken wooden swords, tattered armor, ancient talismans, and so on. These were all protective treasures given to him by the ancestors of the Jun family. Jun Xiaoyao had used them when he was exploring the Bronze Immortal Palace, but he did not use them much after that, because there was nothing that could threaten him. But now, some Dao Masters and Divine Venerables were shamelessly attacking him. Jun Xiaoyao had no choice but to take out these protective ancient artifacts. These things can't stop us. The Dao Master of Heaven snorted, raised his hand, and clashed with the broken wooden swords, causing a shocking explosion. The Dao Masters and Divine Venerables of Secluded Nation and Blood Pagoda were also blocked by the ancient talismans, bronze bells, and other artifacts. Of course, there were also lesser Heavenly Venerables, greater Heavenly Venerables, and even Mystique Venerables. Jun Xiaoyao's lips curled into a cold smile. Of course, I know I can't stop them for long, but I just need to buy some time. Even if I die in the end, I still need to kill a few people, right? Jun Xiaoyao was wearing that tattered armor, which provided him with an additional layer of defense. This was the ancient artifact used by the ancestors of the Jun family. Kill. There was no mercy to speak of. The three Dao Masters of the Jin dynasty wanted to use him as a whetstone to practice their skills. But now, Jun Xiaoyao was using the three Dao Masters of the Jin dynasty to practice his skills. He was going to kill them all. Jun Xiaoyao's divine blood of the supreme stage boiled, flowing through his limbs and bones. His entire body was wrapped in a ball of divine flame, burning brightly. It was not a real flame, but a blood flame formed by the divine blood of the supreme stage. The divine blood of the supreme stage was the form of the supreme bone after its transformation. It was also one of the top talents. Jun Xiaoyao rarely used it, but it did not mean that this talent was not strong. His strength had increased by several times. The Kuan Peng Grand Mystique in his left hand and the Fiend God Grand Mystique in his right. The Kuan Peng's infinite divine fist and the heaven-splitting Fiend God fist were both executed by him at the same time. Wherever the fist passed, the lesser heavenly venerables of the three assassin dynasties were unable to withstand it, and their bodies exploded. This was unimaginable. Cultivators who could cultivate to this level were not ordinary people. Even when facing an extreme supremacy of the same level, they could withstand 2 or 3 moves. But now, they could not even withstand one punch from Jun Xiaoyao. But this was not the most ridiculous thing. This was because even a Grand Empyrean was knocked back by this terrifying punch. He coughed out large mouthfuls of blood, and the arm he used to attack was shattered. What kind of monster is this? Some great heavenly venerables roared with bloodshot eyes. When they heard that Jun Xiaoyao had killed great heavenly venerables with a single punch, they did not believe it, because it was extraordinarily difficult for a 7-stage supremacy to kill someone of a higher level. But now, the truth was right in front of them, and they were helpless. An anomaly could not be judged by common sense. How dare a person who is about to die be so presumptuous? At this moment, an extremely cold voice sounded. It was the Mystique Venerables of the 3 Jin dynasty, great heavenly venerables, who were charging at Jun Xiaoyao. The power of this level was not something a great heavenly venerate could compare to. Chapter 1209. It was not an exaggeration to say that every step of the supremacy realm was like ascending to heaven. This was also why it was harder than ascending to the heavens to challenge those of a higher realm after the supremacy realm. Even some monstrous prodigies could only reign supreme among those of the same realm at most. In the face of an expert who was a level higher than him, he seemed somewhat powerless. However, Jun Xiaoyao was different. Those of the same realm were no match for him. They were no different from ants. Even a grand heavenly venerable who was 1 level stronger than him could only vomit blood and fly backward when faced with the powerful Jun Xiaoyao. However, the one who was about to make a move, it was not a lesser heavenly venerable of the same realm, nor was it a grand heavenly venerable of a higher realm. It was a supreme mystique venerable. The word supreme was enough to prove that there was a qualitative difference between a powerhouse of this level and a grand heavenly venerable. They could not be mentioned in the same breath. The three assassins, the Jin dynasty's Dao venerable and godly venerable rank powerhouses, were temporarily blocked by Jun Xiaoyao's ancient weapons. Lesser heavenly venerables and grand heavenly venerables were no match for Jun Xiaoyao. Therefore, only a supreme mystique venerable could make a move. Sword of Judgment. The heavens mystique venerable rank powerhouse raised his hand. Endless power of law gathered and formed a sword of law that seemed to be able to sever heaven and earth. Fierce and fierce fluctuations surged in all directions. This move widened the gap between him and a grand heavenly venerable. It was not just the heavens mystique venerable rank powerhouse. The secluded nation and Blood Buddha's mystique venerable rank powerhouses also made a move. Bullying the weak was not important at all. They were a group of assassins who did not care about their reputation. The secluded nation's mystique venerable rank powerhouse took out hundreds of formation flags and formed a small killing array. However, its power was limitless and could easily kill a heavenly venerable rank powerhouse. The Blood Buddha's powerhouse held a blood-stained dagger that glowed with a faint green light. It was obviously dipped in poison. Facing the encirclement of mystique venerable rank powerhouses, even someone as strong as Jun Xiaoyao had to be cautious. He was not blindly confident. He had a clear understanding of his own strength. Jun Xiaoyao took out his two weapons. The myriad qi cauldron floated above his head. As it rotated, strands of myriad qi descended, each strand capable of crushing the void. The everlasting sword embryo shone with sharp and resplendent light. The sword seemed to reflect the entire universe. The immortal patterns on it lit up, scattering down a brilliant rain of light. One had to know that Jun Xiaoyao had never used a weapon when fighting. But now, he had taken out the myriad qi cauldron and the Daluo sword embryo. This showed just how cautious Jun Xiaoyao was. Boom! Jun Xiaoyao faced off against a mystique venerable one. The heavenly lord of heaven's sword of judgment slashed toward Jun Xiaoyao. Jun Xiaoyao used the myriad qi cauldron to defend himself as he attacked. With a loud explosion, the myriad qi cauldron remained unscathed. What a great weapon. It's actually refined with the myriad source qi as the foundation. It's not far from being an imperial armament. The mystique venerable one from heaven looked at the myriad qi cauldron with greed in his eyes. The mystique venerable ones from seclusion and blood pagoda charged forward. Jun Xiaoyao slashed out with the everlasting sword embryo. The resplendent sword light tore through the heavens and earth. Each ray was 10,000 miles long. Destructive ripples erupted. Even someone as powerful as Jun Xiaoyao felt the impact and was under immense pressure. Fortunately, he was wearing a tattered armor. It was actually an ancient artifact with terrifying defensive power. Otherwise, it would not have been gifted to Jun Xiaoyao by the ancestors of the Jun family as a protective artifact. How is this possible? Jun Xiaoyao actually blocked off a round of attacks from mystique venerable ones. The other assassins from the Jin dynasty of the three great assassins were all dumbfounded. Challenging someone of a higher level was already heaven-defying enough. Challenging a supreme mystique venerable one's 2 levels above him was too much, wasn't it? No matter how strong the others were, they had to abide by the rules of their level. Jun Xiaoyao didn't care about martial arts ethics at all, nor did he play by the rules. It must be because of that protective armor. It blocked most of the power for Jun Xiaoyao. Even so, it's terrifying enough. If it were anyone else, even with an ancient artifact protecting them, they would not be able to fight against a mystique venerable ones. The people from the Jin dynasty of the 3 great assassins only understood now. They did not understand why Jun Xiaoyao was rumored to be such a god. He was truly a heaven-defying anomaly. Junior, don't be so arrogant. In front of us mystique venerables, you are just an ant. The mystique venerable one from heaven looked displeased. Jun Xiaoyao was able to stop him despite the fact that he was bullying someone weaker than him. He had nowhere to put his face. 100,000 killing swords. The mystique venerable one from heaven shouted, and used his ultimate move. The light wings on his back trembled. Light feathers formed from precepts fell. They turned into 100,000 terrifying killing swords and formed a formation in the air. They formed a terrifying rain of death swords and charged toward Jun Xiaoyao. At the same time, the mystique venerable ones from Secluded Nation and Blood Pagoda also used their ultimate moves. They wanted to fight for Jun Xiaoyao, their prey. So what if you were a supreme mystique venerable? Do you really think that I, the son of God, am easy to bully? Jun Xiaoyao's eyes were sharp, and his aura shook the world. Even though he was in a desperate situation, Jun Xiaoyao did not back down. This was the pride that was rooted in Jun Xiaoyao's bones. He was the son of God of the Jun family. He was an unparalleled monster since he was born. Even someone as strong as the ultimate disaster had been ended by his hands. Moreover, these were just a few mystique venerable ones from the Jin dynasty. The supreme divine blood in Jun Xiaoyao's body boiled, and all his attributes increased by several times. Behind him, chaotic energy surged, as if a vast demon god was splitting the world apart. Chaotic body, chaos splitting the heavens. At the same time, the power of the 3,000 Sumeru worlds surged in his body. It was as if 3,000 worlds were surging out. Jun Xiaoyao used the Daluo sword embryo to perform the 5 great sword techniques, fusing them into one to form a shocking sword. Slash! Boom! An unprecedentedly huge wave erupted. The shock waves gave people the illusion that the intensity was no less than a great battle between boundary emperors in the depths of the universe. Amidst this smoke, even the void was destroyed. The 3 mystique venerable ones from the Jin dynasty were all forced back a few steps. Of course, Jun Xiaoyao was also forced back. His body was shaking, and his blood was churning. Hundreds of the 3,000 Sumeru worlds in his body were shattered. Even more cracks had appeared on the tattered armor on his body. It was on the verge of being scrapped. The mystique venerable ones from heaven narrowed their eyes when they saw the cracks on the armor. Jun Xiaoyao, you are indeed unexpected. You can actually withstand a round of our attacks. But you, how many more moves can you take? Take another 10,000 steps back. Even if you can withstand our attacks, can you survive today? The mystique venerable ones from heaven were speaking the truth. In the sky, Fufeng of Gojoseon was in a desperate situation. He was surrounded by 3 boundary emperors and spat out mouthfuls of blood. He was on the verge of death. There were also the Dao venerables and godly venerables from the Jin dynasty. They were about to suppress the many ancient artifacts that Jun Xiaoyao had taken out. There were also a few mystique venerables who were eyeing him covetously. It could be said that in such a situation, no one could reverse the situation. However, Jun Xiaoyao suddenly smiled. He slowly raised his hand. A drop of black blood, as dark as the night, floated quietly in his palm. The heavenly black blood. Heaven, you cannot make me kneel. Earth, you cannot make me kneel. The likes of you are still far from enough. As soon as he finished speaking, Jun Xiaoyao directly slapped the heavenly black blood into his body. At this moment, the shackles of darkness were broken. The Grim Reaper had descended. Chapter 12:10. Endless dark energy exploded in Jun Xiaoyao's body. It was the heavenly black blood, the purest form of black blood. If it were anyone else, they would have gone mad if this drop of black blood merged with them. However, Jun Xiaoyao was different. This was not the first time he had merged with it. In the Avicania lands, the source of the Styx, he had merged with a drop of black blood. After that, he merged the heavenly black blood into his god's dharma body during the battle against the ultimate calamity. Therefore, Jun Xiaoyao was familiar with this power and could control it. The power of the heavenly black blood allowed Jun Xiaoyao to enter dark mode, increasing all his attributes. Boom! It was as if an ancient demon god had awakened, or as if the Grim Reaper had walked out of the gates of hell. Thick black fog spread out in all directions. "Be careful, that's black blood," an assassin exclaimed. No one wanted to be tainted by the black fog. Jun Xiaoyao could adapt and prevent himself from falling into madness. However, it did not mean that others could do the same. This time, many of the Jin dynasty's lesser heavenly venerables and greater heavenly venerables were tainted by the black fog. Illusions appeared before their eyes, and they felt as if they had fallen into endless darkness. Even their primordial spirits were corroded. Ah! An assassin held his head and screamed. This was the purest heavenly black blood, not the impure black blood from the foreign lands. Therefore, the corrosive power was stronger. Damn it! Seeing this, the faces of the Jin dynasty's mystique, venerable rank powerhouses darkened. An Empyrean-level assassin was not some cabbage on the street that could be casually nurtured. Now that so many of them had died, it was a great loss for the Jin dynasty's top 3 assassins. You should worry about your own lives first. A cold voice sounded. The Jin dynasty's mystique, venerable rank powerhouses suddenly turned their eyes to Jun Xiaoyao, who was surrounded by the black fog. At this moment, Jun Xiaoyao's black hair had turned white like snow. 3,000 strands of white hair floated in the air, cold and bleak. A pair of bottomless eyes glittered with a faint purple light, ancient, evil, and incomparably strange. I have denouement. At this moment, Jun Xiaoyao's temperament was even colder and more terrifying than the 3 assassins of the Jin dynasty. He was like a supreme demon lord. That was how Jun Xiaoyao looked like in dark mode. It was even more powerful and terrifying than when he merged with the black blood in the other side. It was because the drop of black blood he merged with in the other side, compared to the heavenly heaven black blood, still had a qualitative difference. They could feel Jun Xiaoyao's terrifying might that could shake the void and destroy the heavens. Even though the 3 assassins were mystique venerable ones from the Jin dynasty, their hearts were racing. Jun Xiaoyao, as the hero who saved a mortal domain, you are actually using the foreign black blood power. It really is ironic. Heaven's mystic venerable shouted coldly. I never said that I was a hero. Moreover, don't you think it's even more ironic for a bunch of gutter rats to say such things? Jun Xiaoyao's lips curled into a cold smile. How dare you? The 3 assassins were mystique venerable ones from the Jin dynasty. They immediately attacked, and their supreme mystique venerable aura swept through the world. Jun Xiaoyao's current state was extremely strange. However, they did not think that Jun Xiaoyao could pose any threat to them, even though he was 2 ranks higher. Heaven's forbidden song, soul-subduing incantation. Blood world swallows the heavens. The group of mystique venerable ones used shocking secret techniques. It could be said that even mystique venerable ones of the same rank would be severely injured and die under such a siege. Meanwhile, Jun Xiaoyao held his sword in one hand and slowly raised his other hand. Densely packed, living, sacrificial runes started to appear around him. It was as if countless living beings were crying and wailing at Jun Xiaoyao's feet. The scene was extremely strange and terrifying. What is that? Noticing this strange scene, some of the Jin dynasty assassins exclaimed. Then, someone screamed in horror. Blood-colored flowers grew out of a grand, heavenly venerable's body. The flowers looked as if they had been watered with fresh blood, evil and cold. At the same time, the laws in this heavenly venerable's body were being shattered and absorbed by the blood-colored flowers. These flowers were the devil's snare flowers. Jun Xiaoyao's move was his self-created origin great path superpower, the 3rd move of Genesis, God Sacrifice. It was a terrifying forbidden move inspired by the power of sacrifice of the dark heaven lineage. Sacrifice all living beings to nourish oneself. Right now, the ones being sacrificed were undoubtedly the 3 assassins from the Jin dynasty. It was hard to imagine that Jun Xiaoyao, who had fused with the dark heaven blood, could use the origin great path superpower. Its power was simply indescribable. Devil's snare flowers grew out of the assassins' bodies. When the flowers bloomed, it was also time for them to turn into ashes. Damn it! It was not just the lesser heavenly venerables and grand heavenly venerables. Even the mystique venerables from the Jin dynasty, who were the 3 assassins, had blood-colored devil's snare flowers growing out of their bodies. Of course, they were stronger and could still resist for a while. However, they had already suffered heavy injuries. The power of laws in their bodies had been destroyed and absorbed. After Jun Xiaoyao used God's sacrifice, he held the zenith heaven sword embryo in his hand. A brilliance that seemed to have come from the beginning of the world appeared on the sword. Genesis, light of God. A wisp of sword light slashed out as if it was splitting heaven and earth. This sword had fused with light of God, the power of the dark blood, and the universe origin power in Jun Xiaoyao's body. That wasn't the power of the dust world from before. It was the power of a minor kiliocosm. This power was completely incomparable to the previous one. Puchi, the sword slashed through. The blood Buddha's mystique venerable's blood splattered everywhere as his body was split into two. Devil's snare flowers bloomed all over his severed body. First one. Jun Xiaoyao was like the Grim Reaper as he whispered coldly. Then, the terrifying blood-colored power of sin appeared and entangled the zenith heaven sword embryo. Genesis, God's punishment was used. Boundless chains of sin slashed out along with the sword. The more sins one had, the stronger the power of this sword. The blood and sin on these assassins' hands were clearly indescribable. A group of assassins fell like wheat being harvested. Blood splattered across the sky. Finally, the sword light landed on the mystique venerable from seclusion. No, the mystique venerable from seclusion roared. His body was entangled by chains of sin and covered in devil's snare flowers. This was like heaven's punishment for him. It was God's punishment. As the devil's snare flowers bloomed, this mystique venerable's body and origin spirit also withered. Finally, light of God and God's punishment merged into one on the zenith heaven sword embryo. It turned into a destructive sword light that crossed thousands of miles and slashed toward the mystique venerable from heaven. The mystique venerable from heaven roared. At the same time, his originally cold and arrogant eyes started to tremble. He had never imagined that he would be forced to such a state by a junior. He was the killing venerable of heaven and had a fierce reputation. Indiscriminate destruction. The mystique venerable from heaven roared. He burned all the essence of the law of life in one final attack. But there was no other way. With the support of the supreme divine blood, the azure black blood, and the origin great path's power, the attack was too powerful. Jun Xiaoyao's attack was unparalleled. The mystique venerable would also be turned into ashes by this attack. The mystique venerable from heaven also died in disbelief and regret. Crack. The tattered armor on Jun Xiaoyao's body was filled with cracks as well, which eventually fell apart. The mystique venerable from heaven's final attack was indeed not weak. It completely shattered this ancient artifact. At this moment, Jun Xiaoyao's white hair fluttered in the wind as he held the zenith heaven sword embryo. He was a handsome, white-haired Grim Reaper who brought darkness and death to everyone. He's dead. Jun Xiaoyao defied the heavens and killed a mystique venerable. The remaining 3 assassins from the Jin dynasty trembled. They felt like their minds had been turned upside down. Jun Xiaoyao had crossed 2 levels and killed multiple mystique venerables. They simply couldn't believe their eyes. Even these cold-blooded assassins felt like their hearts were about to explode. They even felt a little dazed. Was Jun Xiaoyao the prey? Or were they the prey? At this moment, a loud shout came from the void. How dare a person who is about to die be so arrogant? They were the 3 assassins from the Jin dynasty. They were godly venerables and Dao venerables. They had already suppressed those ancient artifacts. They looked at the bloody battlefield and the corpses of the lesser heavenly venerables, greater heavenly venerables, and mystique venerables. Their hearts were bleeding. It was fine if the young prodigies from before had died. They could nurture batch after batch of such prodigies, just like raising venomous insects. However, the death of these experts was a great loss to the 3 assassins from a Jin dynasty. Junior, fighting like a cornered beast will only make your death more painful. The godly venerables and Dao venerables charged at Jun Xiaoyao with rage in their eyes. Chapter 12:11. It could be said that even the 3 great assassins of the Jin dynasty did not expect this. They actually paid such a huge price to deal with a junior like Jun Xiaoyao. Many junior heavenly venerables and grand heavenly venerables had died. Even the supreme mystic venerables had fallen. As for the younger generation of assassins, there was no need to talk about them. They had fallen in droves. At this moment, Jun Xiaoyao was too terrifying. He was simply like a white-haired demon lord who could destroy the world. Although they had already overestimated Jun Xiaoyao's strength, Jun Xiaoyao had still subverted their imaginations. Who would have thought that a junior heavenly venerate would be able to kill a mystic venerate? Today, even the heavenly emperor can't save you. The three great assassins of the Jin dynasty all reached out to grab Jun Xiaoyao. One by one, the nomological hands seemed to be overturning the sky. Jun Xiaoyao held the Daluo, sword embryo, in his hand. He looked up and sighed softly. It was already extremely heaven-defying for him to be able to do this. There were only a few junior heavenly venerables who could kill a mystic venerate in the entire mystic realm. And now, even a Dao venerate was attacking him. No matter how heaven-defying Jun Xiaoyao was, he could not go against the common sense of cultivation and fight against Dao venerate Hundun. In fact, even when fighting against a mystic venerate, Jun Xiaoyao had already used part of his trump card. Of course, it was only part of it. Jun Xiaoyao had never been one to reveal all of his trump cards. Only by being 30% frivolous and 70% secretive could he be in an invincible position. Facing the joint attack of the three great assassins of the Jin dynasty, Jun Xiaoyao raised his hand and took out Jun Wuhui's talisman. On it, the words, "A gentleman has no regrets in his life," bloomed with radiant light. A hazy white-robed figure appeared. It was as if he had transcended the heavens and suppressed time and space. "Have you finally taken it out?" The three great assassins of the Jin dynasty, the Dao venerates, and the supreme gods, all froze. They dared to assassinate Jun Xiaoyao because they were fully prepared. After all, the vanguard of the three great clans had been killed by this move. The image of the white-robed divine king sat cross-legged in the void. His radiance shone through the ages and crushed the heavens. Even a quasi-emperor could not ignore that aura. The three assassins, the Jin dynasty's Dao masters and godly venerables, quickly retreated. They knew that it would be difficult for them to deal with Jun Wuhui's protective talisman. However, since they knew how powerful Jun Wuhui's talisman was, they had already thought of a way to deal with it. Do you really think a talisman can protect you? In the depths of the sky, the heavenly hall quasi-emperor who was besieging the foofing of Gojoseon, the nine-winged angel, let out a cold snort that was as loud as thunder. With a raise of his hand, tens of thousands of laws interweaved. Ancient runes were manifesting, turning into a terrifying killing zone. That's an ancient killing array. Jun Xiaoyao narrowed his eyes. The great nine-winged angel brought out a corner of an ancient and terrifying killing formation. Jun Xiaoyao was not unfamiliar with this. This was because the Jun family had used the third ancient killing formation during the immortal battle in the Huangtian mystic realm. When he was training in the wilderness, a group of Archean royalty prodigies had joined forces to bring out an incomplete corner of the ninth ancient killing formation in order to kill him. And now, the great nine-winged angel of heaven had brought out a part of the seventh ancient killing formation. It was the seventh most powerful killing formation since ancient times. It was reasonable for the Jin dynasty assassins to have an ancient killing formation. This was not the complete seventh ancient killing formation. However, when it was brought out by a quasi-emperor, its power was completely incomparable to the ninth killing formation used by the Archean royalty prodigies in the wilderness. Rumble. It was as if billions of bloody thunderbolts were exploding. The seventh ancient killing formation seemed to have evolved into an incomparably terrifying blood tribulation realm. The seventh ancient killing formation suppressed Jun Wuhui's talisman. It might not be able to completely suppress it, but it could at least delay it for a while. It seems that you guys have really put in a lot of effort to deal with me. Seeing this, Jun Xiaoyao smiled coldly. The three great assassins of the Jin dynasty had really prepared for everything. Even when he brought out his talisman, he still brought out the seventh ancient killing formation to fight against them. Of course. After all, you are Jun Xiaoyao. It's not too much to be cautious when dealing with you. A chaotic Tao master from heaven said coldly. To be honest, after fighting for so long, they really admired Jun Xiaoyao a little. If it were anyone else of the same generation, they would only feel despair when faced with such a situation. However, Jun Xiaoyao was still calm and composed. That kind of temperament was not something that ordinary people could compare to. But unfortunately, no matter how talented you are still a speck of dust in the end. Everything is over. The chaotic Tao master from heaven pressed down on Jun Xiaoyao with a large hand, surrounded by primitive chaotic qi. This was somewhat similar to the chaotic power of the chaotic body, but it was not the same. The chaotic power of the chaotic body was an innate power that came with it. On the other hand, the chaotic power of the chaotic Tao was obtained through the comprehension of the great Tao of chaos. This was also why the chaotic Tao master was at the top of the seven supremes. This was because they had already begun to comprehend the various great Tao rules and order in the chaos. As for the quasi-emperors, they had already comprehended some embryonic forms of the great Tao. Then, after going through the tempering of the 9 tribulations, they had attained the great Tao that truly belonged to them. This was the so-called affirmation of the Tao to become an emperor. As the peak of the 7 supremes, the chaotic Tao master strength was naturally not comparable to the previous supreme mystic venerables. If Jun Xiaoyao wanted to block this palm, he would have to pay a great price. And just as the chaotic Tao master's large hand was about to press down on Jun Xiaoyao, a crisp and young voice with a hint of sobbing but still determined sounded. "Don't bully Daddy." A petite figure flashed in front of Jun Xiaoyao. It was little Evers now. She spread her arms and stood in front of Jun Xiaoyao. Her big eyes were red and sparkling with tears. Seeing Jun Xiaoyao facing so many enemies alone, she was heartbroken and afraid that something would happen to Jun Xiaoyao. The chaotic Tao master of the heavenly hall was expressionless and cold as ice as he continued to press down with his palm. They had also investigated. This little girl was brought out from the void sky world by Jun Xiaoyao. It might be some kind of opportunity. Di Hao Ian had once told the 3 assassins about the Jin dynasty through the purple flame sovereign of heaven. That little girl might have some background. The 3 assassins did not care too much about the Jin dynasty. So what if she had some background? With the 3 quasi-emperors here, everything was not a problem. The chaotic Tao master's large hand continued to press down. He wanted to bury little Evers now and Jun Xiaoyao together. Boom! The chaotic Tao master's large hand completely enveloped that space, suppressing Jun Xiaoyao and little Evers now. Then, the chaotic Tao master's 5 hands suddenly squeezed. The void seemed to be about to be crushed. It's over. Seeing this scene, the remaining 3 assassins of the Jin dynasty secretly sighed. To be honest, this encirclement was really unexpected. Jun Xiaoyao did live up to his reputation. However, at this moment, the chaotic Tao master of the heavenly hall suddenly felt his heart skip a beat as he sensed that something was wrong. He saw that the hand of laws that he had stretched out was full of cracks and was collapsing. Finally, there was a loud boom. Heaven and earth shook, and all things fell. Endless bright, immortal light bloomed from it. A terrifying vortex appeared as if it was going to pull all things in the universe into the cycle of reincarnation. At the end of the cycle of reincarnation, a petite figure with silver hair, fluttering, and eyes closed looked like a little fairy. How was this possible? The chaotic Tao master of the heavenly hall let out an unprecedented cry of horror. Chapter 12:12. It was as if time had frozen. The 3 assassins from the Jin dynasty were all shocked like never before. The attack of a Chaos Tao master was blocked by a little girl. What did that mean? It was even more shocking than when Jun Xiaoyao killed a mystique venerable. What's going on? The chaotic Tao master from heaven was dumbfounded. He had never encountered such a situation before. On the other side, Jun Xiaoyao saw what happened. While he had expected something like that to happen, he was still surprised. He knew that little Evers now had a strong background, but he did not expect her to be able to unleash such great power. At this moment, the heavenly quasi-emperor who had activated the seventh ancient killing formation suddenly yelled, his eyelids twitching. Retreat. But it was too late. Little Evers now was at the end of the reincarnation cycle. Her eyes were closed, and she was as beautiful as a porcelain doll. However, waves of terrifying law ripples spread out from her body. Everywhere they passed, the void was silently annihilated and collapsed. That terrifying law ripple had far exceeded the range of a seventh-stage supreme. The ripple swept out. The three assassins from the Jin dynasty did not even have time to scream. Their physical bodies and primordial spirits turned into nothingness. In front of this ripple, people of any cultivation level were the same. Lesser heavenly venerables, greater heavenly venerables, supreme mystique venerables, creation divinity, and even chaotic Tao master were the same. No, the Tao masters from secluded nation and blood pagoda were horrified. In the face of this terrifying ripple, they could only resist for 1 or 2 seconds before they turned into dust too. The heavenly Tao master who had attacked was so scared that his soul almost left his body. His whole body was cold as if he had fallen into an ice cave. What kind of monster had he provoked? But then, he did not have to think about this question anymore, because he also turned into nothingness silently. For a moment, the entire space fell silent. The three assassins from the Jin dynasty, except for the 3 quasi-emperors. The rest of the assassins were all dead. Tao masters, divine masters, mystique venerables, and heavenly venerables. None of them survived. If this scene was seen by outsiders, they would definitely be terrified. Cough. Fufeng of Gojoseon was covered in blood as he retreated. He was like a lamp that had run out of oil, and his body was in tatters. To be honest, it was already a miracle that he could last this long in front of 3 quasi-emperors who were of a higher level than him. Seeing this, Jun Xiaoyao injected some water from the spring of life into Fufeng of Gojoseon's body. Fufeng of Gojoseon breathed a sigh of relief. However, he was still severely injured and had almost no combat power left. Damn it! The 3 quasi-emperors were infuriated when they saw that the rest of their people had been killed. However, little Eversnow's eyes were still closed. It was as though she was at the end of the cycle of reincarnation. Something strange. What a powerful force. Seeing this, a dark light flashed in the eyes of the secluded nation's 3rd tribulation quasi-emperor. Then he stretched out his hand and grabbed at little Eversnow. A quasi-emperor's attack was immensely powerful, and it was far from what a 7th-level supreme martial artist could compare to. At this moment, little Eversnow, who had her eyes closed all this time, suddenly opened them. In an instant, the heavens and the earth fell deathly silent, and the universe went silent. What kind of eyes were those? They were as clear as crystal, but with indifference and indifference, like a god overlooking the boundless universe and the reincarnation of all things. The dazzling light of reincarnation burst out. Oh no, stop! The 9-winged angel of heaven seemed to have sensed something. However, it was already too late. A miserable scream rang out. It was the secluded nation's quasi-emperor, who was holding his head and screaming. He felt that his primordial spirit was burning and was about to be pulled into an unknown cycle of reincarnation. This was horrifying. He was a quasi-emperor. If a great emperor did not appear, he would be one of the strongest. When had he ever tasted such a feeling of being on the verge of death? His primordial spirit was burning and severely injured. At the same time, his quasi-emperor body was shattering and exploding, blood splattering everywhere. Seeing this scene, the Blood Buddha quasi-emperor also felt a deep sense of fear. A dignified quasi-emperor had been forced into such a state by a little girl. However, the Blood Buddha quasi-emperor did not have time to think too much, because little Eversnow had also turned her cold and emotionless crystal eyes to the Blood Buddha quasi-emperor. Splat! The Blood Buddha quasi-emperor was immediately severely injured and vomited large mouthfuls of blood. The quasi-emperor's body was swept by the dermic power fluctuations and exploded. F*CK, This is F asterisk king ridiculous. Fufing of Gojosian was stunned and could not help but curse. Just now, he had been forced into a corner by the 3 quasi-emperors and was severely injured and on the verge of death. But now, a little girl had instantly injured 2 quasi-emperors. If he had not seen it with his own eyes, who would have dared to believe it? What's going on? This is the 9-winged angel of heaven was the strongest of the 3 quasi-emperors and had already passed 4 tribulations. There was also a hint of shock on his face as he turned to look at Jun Xiaoyao. He found that Jun Xiaoyao's expression was calm. So this is your trump card. The heavenly quasi-emperor's voice was bone-chilling. The 3 assassins from the divine dynasty of assassins never expected that the girl who was always by Jun Xiaoyao's side would be so terrifying, because no one would have expected this. Previously, although Dihao Ian had warned them, but who would have thought that little Evers now could even deal with a quasi-emperor? And now, looking at Jun Xiaoyao's expression, the heavenly quasi-emperor suddenly understood. Why had Jun Xiaoyao been so calm all this time? It turned out that everything was in his plan. Looking at the heavenly quasi-emperor's sharp gaze, Jun Xiaoyao said indifferently, "The best hunter often appears as the prey. Don't you understand this principle?" Hearing these sarcastic words, the heavenly quasi-emperor's eyes shot out a cold light, and his heart was filled with killing intent. Now, he only wanted to kill Jun Xiaoyao. If he did not get rid of him, the 3 assassins of the Jin dynasty would be finished. At this moment, earth-shattering screams erupted. The bodies of the 2 third tribulation quasi-emperors of secluded country and Blood Buddha completely exploded, and their primordial spirits were burned into nothingness. 2 famous quasi-emperors of the immortal realm fell just like that. They probably did not expect that they would end up in such a ridiculous situation. Finally, little Eversnow's gaze fell on the 9-winged angel of heaven. The 9-winged angel's body also shook violently. However, he gritted his teeth and took out a weapon. Suddenly, tens of thousands of rays of brilliance, incomparably dazzling, illuminated the space. It was a dazzling golden armor with many ancient patterns imprinted on it. A vast emperor's aura shook, setting off tens of thousands of waves. This was an emperor's weapon of heaven, heaven's saint armor. The 9-winged angel roared sternly. Even Jun Xiaoyao did not expect that heaven would bring an emperor's weapon. How much did they think of him? In order to encircle and annihilate him, they were too prepared. The 9-winged angel of heaven, wearing the emperor's weapon heaven's saint armor, charged toward little Eversnow and Jun Xiaoyao. Little Eversnow emitted terrifying nomological fluctuations. This was a defensive instinct that was born after encountering danger. 2 vortexes seemed to appear in her crystal-like eyes. Those were reincarnation vortexes, as if they could pull the entire world into them. Even someone as powerful as the 9-winged angel's primordial spirit trembled violently, as if it was about to leave his body. Today, no matter what price I have to pay, I will kill you. A ruthless and resolute look flashed across the 9-winged angel's eyes. His blood, primordial spirit, and laws were all burning. Even the emperor's weapon heaven's saint armor on his body was vibrating, bursting forth with a vast emperor's aura. Jun Xiaoyao instantly understood. This quasi-emperor of heaven wanted to self-destruct and destroy everything. Chapter 12:13. The 3 great assassins of the Jin dynasty had put everything they had into this assassination attempt on Jun Xiaoyao. If they won, they would naturally obtain endless benefits. The 3 great assassins of the Jin dynasty would be able to prosper again. Moreover, if the mission was completed, there would naturally be someone to protect them. They would ascend to the 9 heavens. No matter how strong the Jun family was, they could not kill their way into the 9 heavens, because that would mean becoming enemies with all the forbidden zones of the 9 heavens. Even someone as powerful as the Jun family couldn't have done that. A single forbidden zone was enough to intimidate the heroes of the immortal region, let alone the 10 great forbidden zones. However, if they failed, the consequences would be unimaginable. Not only would they not obtain any benefits, moreover, the three great assassins of the Jin dynasty would usher in their darkest moment. The consequences of assassinating the son of God of the Jun family were simply unimaginable. Therefore, the eyes of the nine-winged angel of heaven were filled with ruthlessness and decisiveness. He had already become a quasi-emperor, and his temperament was naturally incomparable to the previous assassins. Jun Xiaoyao, I admit that the three great assassins of the Jin dynasty have underestimated you. I did not expect to fall into your hands today, but completing a mission is the highest mission of an assassin. If I die today, you will not live either. The voice of the nine-winged angel of heaven was like the whisper of the Grim Reaper. His entire body bloomed with brilliant light, which was the burning of laws. As a quasi-emperor, even the embryonic form of the great Tao that he had comprehended was disintegrating and burning. Moreover, the most important thing was the emperor weapon of heaven, the heaven's sacred armor, was also triggered by the nine-winged angel and was about to explode. A four-tribulation quasi-emperor and an emperor weapon self-destructed at the same time. The power was simply unimaginable. The nine-winged angel, like a brilliant burning meteor, crashed toward Jun Xiaoyao, little Evers now, and the others. In an instant, all time and space seemed to have frozen. The nine-winged angel turned into a brilliant point of origin. It was like the core of the sun. Endless terrifying power swelled out. The strange thing was that there was no earth-shaking rumble. Everything was carried out in an eerie silence. A four-tribulation quasi-emperor and an emperor weapon had self-detonated. That surge of power caused the void to crumble, creating a patch of nothingness. After a short period of strange and dead silence, finally, the voice that had been pulled away returned. A mighty rumble that sounded like the wrath of a god was heard. It was as if 10,000 bolts of lightning had exploded at the same time. It was as if 10,000 nuclear bombs had exploded at the same time. This terrifying, destructive shockwave instantly broke through the divine realm's forbidden space and the heaven-bewildering array. The originally dark universe was illuminated by the intense brilliance produced by the explosion, becoming as bright as day. Rumble. The sound of the explosion was like the roar of a thunder god. The shockwave of the explosion was like a destructive wave. This part of the universe was shaken, and the void shattered. Even some ancient star areas that were thousands of miles away from this place were shaken by the aftershocks. Stars were rustling and falling. What kind of fluctuation is that? How terrifying. Could it be that there's a great battle between Emperor Stage experts? In the surrounding universe, some of the ancient star regions were trembling. Many of the experts were aghast. That's the shockwave of a boundary emperor's self-destruction. Some of the experts sensed the shockwave and revealed an unprecedented look of surprise. No, there's also an emperor weapon. Some of the experts were even more aghast. Who could force a boundary emperor to self-destruct along with an emperor weapon? Some of the experts wanted to find out, but they were afraid of being implicated, so they could only watch from afar. At this moment, in a part of the universe, Di Haotian's Dharma body stood in the void, looking at the dazzling flames in the distance. Those were the flames produced by the self-destruction of a boundary emperor and an emperor weapon. What a beautiful firework. A great enemy had been dealt with. Di Haotian had a faint smile on his face. The biggest variable and obstacle had been removed. Next, everything would return to the right track, just like he remembered. Next, it's the Forgotten Nation. The unification of the Xian Ting is just around the corner. Di Haotian clasped his hand behind his back and turned to leave. At the same time, the people of the Taboo family of the Nine Heavens and the Grey Clan also saw it. They were a little surprised as to why a boundary emperor had to self-destruct to kill Jun Xiaoyao. However, as long as the final result was good, everything was not a problem. The shockwave of the self-destruction spread in all directions. And at almost the same time, the Huangtian mystic realm shook violently. A vast aura burst out. Jun Tianming, one of the 8 forefathers of the Jun family, stood in the void. The anger in his eyes seemed to be able to burn the 9 worlds. He roared with endless anger. How dare you attack the son of God of our clan? Wherever the sun and moon shine, wherever the mountains and rivers go, there will be no way for you to survive. Jun Tianming's voice exploded throughout the Huangtian mystic realm, and even spread throughout the Nine Heavens mystic realm. This was the anger of the Jun family. The strongest of the Jun family had sensed the explosion as soon as it happened. Something had happened to their son of God. Even the soul lamp in the family's ancestral hall was trembling. Jun Tianming's roar immediately stirred up a great commotion. What? Someone dares to attack the son of God of the Jun family. Oh my God, are they tired of living? The Jun family has already made it clear that they won't interfere if it's a fight between their peers. However, if anyone dares to bully the weak, the Jun family won't forgive them. How bold! Who has the guts to do that? Jun Tianming's roar immediately shook the entire Nine Heavens mystic realm. It was not just a saying that the Jun family could turn the world upside down when they were angry. Soon, the experts of the Jun family tore open the rift and arrived at the place where Jun Xiaoyao was surrounded. Xiaoyao, a beautiful woman with long blue hair in a plain robe, tore open the rift and arrived. She was none other than Luo Xiangling. Her exquisite and beautiful face was filled with anxiety and panic. She did not expect Jun Xiaoyao would be assassinated. She was blaming herself too. If she did not stay in the Jun family, but returned to the Immortal Institute with Jun Xiaoyao, the situation would be completely different. More news soon spread. Jun Xiaoyao did not die, but he was severely injured. Half of his Dao Foundation was destroyed. After all, it was the self-destruction of a boundary monarch weapon. Apart from the martial monarch realm experts, those below the martial monarch realm, even those in the high-level boundary monarch realm, would be severely injured even if they managed to survive the explosion. Besides, Jun Xiaoyao was still young. Even though his cultivation was in the lesser Heaven Highness realm, he still could not withstand the explosion. Someone later saw Jun Xiaoyao being escorted back to the Jun family. Half of his chaos qi had dissipated. It was obvious that he was severely injured. Most of his Dao Foundation was destroyed. It immediately stirred an uproar among the crowd. That being said, it also triggered a great deal of anger. After all, Jun Xiaoyao was the hero who saved the immortal realm. He had ended the disaster with his own hands. Who is it? Who dares to assassinate the hero of the immortal realm? The son of God of the Jun family saved the immortal realm, yet someone is trying to assassinate him. I won't let it go if I know who it is. Many experts and factions were enraged. They declared that they would avenge Jun Xiaoyao. That being said, it was hard to tell if they were sincere or just trying to curry favor with the Jun family. Chapter 12:14. Then, another piece of news spread. The ones who surrounded Jun Xiaoyao were the infamous Jin dynasty, one of the top 3 assassins in the immortal realms. They were led by 3 boundary emperors, along with monarch weapons, ancient killing formations, and many Dao masters, godly venerables, and mystique venerables to surround Jun Xiaoyao. When this news spread out, it undoubtedly shocked everyone. The first thing that shocked them was that the Jin dynasty dared to attack the son of God of the Jun family. It was no different from courting death. Although the Jin dynasty was infamous, it was like an egg hitting a rock when compared to the Jun family. The second thing that shocked them was that the Jin dynasty's lineup was too luxurious. Apart from the top experts, there were also monarch weapons, ancient killing formations, and so on. It was enough to surround and kill a boundary emperor. In the end, they were only here to kill the son of God of the Jun family. It was ridiculous that they didn't even succeed. The whole Nine Heavens immortal realm began to panic after the assassination. It was as if every bush and tree was an enemy. This was because everyone knew that the Jun family had never been a forbearing family, especially when the target was the Jun family's reverse scale, their most precious Qilin son. Many people felt that a terrifying storm was about to strike. The Jun family would not let it go. What? Jun Xiaoyao is still alive? Those idiots can't do anything right. After hearing the news that Jun Xiaoyao was still alive, the people of the 3 forbidden clans looked extremely gloomy. They couldn't imagine how Jun Xiaoyao was still alive. He was even able to force a boundary emperor to self-detonate. Of course, they didn't know the specifics. Therefore, the outside world didn't know how Jun Xiaoyao was still alive. However, many people thought it was reasonable. After all, Jun Xiaoyao had too many trump cards. He had used many of them when he fought against the ultimate calamity. He might have used many of his trump cards to escape death. On the other side, the people of the Gray Clan also received the news that Jun Xiaoyao is really lucky. However, even though he managed to escape with his life, he was severely injured. His Dao foundation was damaged, and his future potential is not great. What should we do next? Another member of the Gray Clan asked. That Jun Xiaoyao is practically a cripple. What happens next would depend on Zhou Tiandaozi's mood. Huntian Immortal Domain. Inside the Golden Palace, where Di Haoyan was, the Purple Flame Lord of Heaven appeared and reported to Di Haoyan about the assassination attempt. He's actually still alive. This Jun Xiaoyao is really lucky. A strange look flashed across Di Haoyan's silver eyes. Jun Xiaoyao had once again exceeded his expectations. However, even if that Jun Xiaoyao isn't dead, he's pretty much crippled. Even if the Jun family can help him recover, it'll take a long time. By that time, he won't be able to keep up with the times. Purple Flame Heaven Monarch shrugged. Di Haoyan was deep in thought. Logically speaking, that was indeed the case. It would take at least a few decades for Jun Xiaoyao to recover. In this golden age, the most important thing was to seize opportunities. In the future, Jun Xiaoyao would undoubtedly miss out on many opportunities. He wouldn't be as glorious as before. However, Di Haoyan always felt uneasy. It seemed that if he didn't get rid of Jun Xiaoyao, there would always be a knot in his heart. If you don't remove the roots, it will grow again when the spring breeze blows. This time, the three assassins of the Jin dynasty are really disappointing. Di Haoyan shook his head slightly. However, now that Jun Xiaoyao had been assassinated, the Jun family would naturally do their best to protect him. Therefore, for a long time, there wouldn't be such an opportunity to assassinate him. It could be said that this opportunity had been wasted by the three assassins of the Jin dynasty. Well, let's focus on the Forgotten Nation first. As for Jun Xiaoyao, now that he's half crippled, I'll find a chance to deal with him later. Di Haoyan made a decision. At this time, the Purple Flame Lord of Heaven said, by the way, the three assassins of the Jin dynasty sent a message saying that they want help from us, the Xianting. The three assassins of the Jin dynasty didn't complete their mission, but angered the Jun family. It could be said that they would die if they relied on themselves. Di Haoyan heard this and said lightly, the three assassins of the Jin dynasty? Have we been in contact with them? The Purple Flame Lord of Heaven was stunned. He glanced at Di Haoyan and shook his head. Your Highness, you're really ruthless. Di Haoyan was indifferent and didn't say anything. The three assassins of the Jin dynasty were already abandoned. Di Haoyan wasn't the only one who was so decisive. The others, like the Gray Clan and the forbidden families of the Nine Heavens, were the same. The three assassins of the Jin dynasty sent people to ask for help. The three forbidden families completely ignored them. As for the Gray Clan, they couldn't even be found. This made the three assassins of the Jin dynasty feel cold to the bones. Their only hope was that this matter could be covered up. But was it possible? Jun Xiaoyao was the precious child of the Jun family, but now he was in such a state. It could be said that no one or force could stop the Jun family from taking revenge. Sure enough, not long after, in the Huangtian Mystic Realm's Emperor State, a handsome and imposing figure stepped into the sky. It was the current head of the Jun family, Jun Xiaoyao's second uncle, and the younger brother of Jun Wuhui, Jun Wui. His eyes were cold and condensed with eternal coldness. Jun Xiaoyao was his nephew, but now he was plotted against by the assassins of the Jin dynasty. It would be fine if it was just a fight between peers. But the problem was that three Emperor-to-be, imperial weapons, ancient killing formations, and many seven-stage supremes were mobilized. The three assassins of the Jin dynasty were really shameless. The three assassins of the Jin dynasty dared to assassinate the son of God of our clan. How dare you? Our clan will cut off your reincarnation path and never let you be reincarnated." As Jun Wui spoke, he held a horn stained with blood in his hand. Many people were watching from afar. When they saw the bugle horn, their eyes were filled with shock. This horn was the Jun family's horn of doom. Blowing this horn meant that the Jun family was about to start an immortal war. The last time this horn was blown was during the immortal war of the Huangtian mystic realm, when the Jun family fought against 7 immortal forces alone. Now, Jun Wui blew the horn again. The desolate sound of the horn echoed throughout the Huangtian mystic realm and even spread to the 9 heavens mystic realm. This was not just an immortal war. It was an immortal war across the mystic realms. The 3 assassins of the Jin dynasty were not stationed in the Huangtian mystic realm. However, the Jun family was not the only one who was angry. The Huangtian mystic realm, Qingzhou, was the territory of the Jiang family of the ancients. The Jiang family of the ancients, a family that kept a low profile compared to the Jun family, no longer kept a low profile. An old man stepped into the sky. His eyes were filled with fury that could burn the 9 realms. It was Jun Xiaoyao's grandfather, Jiang Daoxiu. Jun Xiaoyao is my grandson and the young master of the Jiang family. The 3 assassins of the Jin dynasty are audacious and reckless. This time, all of them will be removed from the mystic realm. None of them will escape. As soon as Jiang Daoxiu finished speaking, a blood-stained flag was fluttering in the wind. It was stained with blood. The blood emitted a dazzling brilliance and emitted a monstrous emperor's aura. This was a war flag stained with the blood of the Jiang family's late emperor, the Iron Blood War Flag. When this flag was out, it meant that the Jiang family's immortal war had begun. This caused a stir in the entire Huangtian mystic realm. The Jiang family did not participate in the immortal war the last time the Jun family started. However, this time, the Jiang family also took action. From this, it could be seen that Jun Xiaoyao's status in the Jiang family was unparalleled. They started an immortal war for one person. However, this was not the end. In the void of the Huangtian mystic realm, a bronze immortal palace floating with chaotic energy appeared. Figures appeared one after another. They were the upper echelons of the imperial family. The one in the lead had golden chi and blood surging. His battle intent was shocking, and his eyes emitted cold lightning. It was Wu Hu. The 3 assassins of the Jin dynasty dared to assassinate the master of the imperial family. There will be no way for you to survive. Whoosh! A stone stirred up 1,000 ripples. The Jun family, the Jiang family, and the imperial family, the 3 top forces, spoke together and started an immortal war. This war was destined to go down in history. Chapter 12:15. Oh my God, I saw it. I really saw it. I saw an immortal battle across the celestial realms in my lifetime. In the Huangtian mystic realm, many cultivators were trembling with excitement. The Jun family had also started an immortal battle before, but it was only limited to the Huangtian mystic realm. But this time it was different. The so-called immortal battle across the celestial realms was a much bigger battle. Often, many immortal forces would join forces to cross the endless star realms to eliminate the immortal forces of other celestial realms. This kind of action of crossing the celestial realms to go to other foreign celestial realms was a huge risk. It could be said that without enough foundation and capital, no force was qualified to start an immortal battle across the celestial realms. Because who knew if they would fall into a trap or a dangerous place after being teleported to other celestial realms? But the Jun family had the capital. If the Jun family didn't have the right, then no other immortal force had the right to do so. It could be said that the Jun family was really angry and wanted the 3 assassins to pay with their blood. Of course, the Jun family, the Jiang family, and the Emperor's court were not the only ones who were really involved. After all, Jun Xiaoyao had killed the ultimate disaster and became the hero of the celestial realms. A group of people were also very respectful and wanted to help. The son of God of the Jun family saved the celestial realms, but now he is being treated like this. The Yi family is also very angry. Some experts of the Yi family of the clan of the ancients participated in the battle. Of course, it couldn't be an immortal battle of the entire family, but some experts wanted to join. After all, Jun Xiaoyao and Yi Guchen of the Yi family had a good relationship before. This time, the Yi family showed their good intentions. Our demon empress said that whoever dares to hurt the son of God of the Jun family is going against her. The demon god palace also sent experts. Jun Xiaoyao did his best for the celestial realms, but now he is being treated like this. The three assassins of the Jin dynasty are really shameless. Some experts of the demonic celestial cult took action. Xiao Maxian, the genius of this cult, also had a good relationship with Jun Xiaoyao. Jun Xiaoyao was once the holy son of our Holy Spirit College. We can't turn a blind eye to this. The Holy Spirit College, a famous college in the Huangtian mystic realm, had also sent someone to fight. This was enough to shake the entire immortal realm. Even though these powers did not go all out, they only sent out a portion of their experts. But when added together, it was still a powerful force. Of course, not all forces were like this. Forces like the Ji family, the human immortal sect, and the Little Western Paradise didn't do anything. They didn't send anyone either. The Jun family would not resort to moral coercion. In fact, the fact that the other forces sent people to help was just icing on the cake. Then, the Nine Heavens Immortal Academy also expressed their stance. Immortal Academy's great elder would also personally take action, participate in this battle. There were also many forces that were on good terms with Jun Xiaoyao, or the Jun family. It could be said that the influence of this battle of eternity that spanned across the immortal realms was absolutely unprecedented. The horn of destruction of the Jun clan echoed across the Nine Heavens immortal realm. This immortal family that had been passed down since ancient times was like a raging lion awakening. Rumble. The Jun family was located in the imperial state. The vast army blotted out the sky. Those were the four armies of the Jun family: the wind, forest, fire, mountain, and forest. Millions of soldiers had appeared out of nowhere. Other than that, there were also 500,000 cavalrymen. Many of them were 9th-level saints. They were the main force of this battle. It's the Jun family's Gantian holy guards. Some of the experts from the major forces who were watching from afar exclaimed in surprise. This was a terrifying and invincible army of the Jun family. At this moment, the commander of the Gantian Mountain Holy Guards, a strong supreme being, shouted coldly, "Those who offend the Jun family will be punished no matter how far away they are." Rumble. Terrifying auras emerged from the ancestral shrine of the Jun family. Jun family's 18th ancestor, 17th ancestor, 16th ancestor, 15th ancestor, 14th ancestor, 13th ancestor, 12th ancestor, 11th ancestor, 10th ancestor, and 9th ancestor. The great ancestors of the Jun family appeared with extremely cold gazes, especially the 18th ancestor, the 16th ancestor, and the others who had watched Jun Xiaoyao grow up with their own eyes. Now that Jun Xiaoyao had been assassinated, their eyes were filled with incomparably cold, murderous intent. Jun Tianming, the 8th ancestor, appeared with the same cold and solemn expression. They should be here soon. Jun Tianming raised his head and looked at the sky. The main force of this battle was not even the great ancestors. In a mysterious ancient land in the mystic realm, an old man was holding a hatchet and chopping down an ancient tree that towered into the depths of the universe. Chopping down trees was a very common thing. However, in the hands of this old man, there seemed to be a mysterious Tao connotation. If anyone saw this tree, they would be so shocked that their scalp would go numb. This was an ancient chaotic tree that took root in the chaos. It could be said that experts below the Boundary Emperor realm would not be able to chop down this tree. Even if they got slightly closer, they would be shattered by the chaotic chi that was emitted from it. However, this old man was leisurely chopping down the tree like a woodcutter. At a certain moment, the old man suddenly stopped what he was doing. This was because he heard the desolate sound of a horn. The horn of destruction? This is the second time it has sounded in this era. Are there really so many people who are blind? The old man shook his head and sighed. Then the hatchet in his hand was swung down. The universe and the stars seem to have been split into two halves by this hatchet. The ancient chaotic tree that towered into the depths of a universe suddenly collapsed with a loud bang, splashing countless meteorites and dust. This ancient chaotic tree is a meeting gift for the little child in the family. It's time for these old bones of mine to go out and exercise. The old man, carrying the ancient chaotic tree on his shoulder and the hatchet in his hand, leisurely walked out of this mysterious ancient land. The Jun family's fifth forefather, Jun Taihao, had come out of seclusion in another mysterious place in the mystic realm, a place called the Dimensional Star. An endless river of stars flowed, filled with the power of the stars. And in this endless dimensional star, surprisingly, there was a woman lying in the middle of it. This woman was not a graceful and beautiful goddess, nor did she have the domineering aura of an empress. She wore a gorgeous dress that was as bright as the stars. Her gentle face even gave off the feeling of a pretty girl from a humble family. She had willowy eyebrows and cherry lips, delicate as a spring flower and charming as the autumn moon. She even seemed a little weak. She was as calm as a beautiful flower shining on water, and her movements were as weak as a willow branch swaying in the wind. However, the endless power of the stars in this dimensional star was constantly pouring into her delicate body. At a certain moment, this gentle and beautiful woman opened a pair of bright starry eyes. The family's doomsday horn has sounded. It's time to go out and exercise. The woman opened her small mouth, and endless power of the stars poured into her delicate body. The majestic power emitted from her delicate body formed a sharp contrast with her gentle face and temperament. She looked like a very young woman. She was the Jun family's fourth ancestor, Jun Taiyin, the mystic realm in the dam world near the realm sea. Inside an ancient cave abode with broken laws, a middle-aged man dressed in an imperial robe with 9 golden dragons coiled around him. A thick layer of dust had accumulated on his body. It was unknown how long he had been in seclusion here. At a certain moment, he heard the somewhat desolate sound of a horn coming from the mystic realm. A pair of eyes that were like the sun and moon in the sky slowly opened. The moment he opened his eyes, the entire ancient cavern was trembling. Even the dam world was trembling slightly. First, a strange curse appeared in my body, then the doomsday horn. Do you really think that everyone in the Jun family can be bullied? The man slowly got up, and a terrifying emperor's aura filled the air. It was as if an emperor had awakened. The 9 golden dragons on his body shone brightly, and they intertwined with each other to form a 9-dragon godly sword. Everything under the heavens is the emperor's land. Everyone under the heavens is the emperor's subject. The Jun family's emperor realm ancestor, third ancestor Jun Tai Wang, came from the dam world with the 9-dragon godly sword in his hand. Chapter 12:16. The entire Huangtian mystic realm was trembling. The Jun family's army was gathering. The immortal realm cultivators who came to participate in the war were also gathering to follow the army into battle. Ancient warships as large as continents came from the depths of the Jun family's ancestral land. They were war arcs that could cross the mystic realm. They were engraved with many ancient runes and terrifying killing arrays. Each war arc consumed an astronomical amount of resources. Ordinary immortal realm cultivators could only build a few. The Jun family had mobilized 30 of them. Each war arc had a space array inside, which could easily accommodate millions of people. What was even more terrifying was that there were special arrays engraved in the war arcs that could gather the power of the cultivators who controlled the war arcs. A group of saint-level cultivators controlling the war arcs could hurt supreme beings. If many supreme beings controlled the war arcs at the same time, even boundary emperors could not ignore the power. That was the most terrifying part of the war arcs. The Immortal Realm's last war was only within the Huangtian mystic realm. That was why the Jun family did not use them. But now, the Jun family was going to use the war arcs to cross the endless galaxies and destroy the Jin dynasty, the top 3 assassins. Oh my God, We can't even make one of these, even if we use up all the resources of dynasty, some dynastic overlords exclaimed. In the next moment, many cultivators throughout the Huangtian mystic realm felt a terrifying aura. Figures appeared in the sky above the Huangtian mystic realm. Every figure was blurry and transcendent, with an aura that could crush eternity. The Jun family's boundary emperors had appeared. The Jun family's seventh forefather, Jun Tea. The Jun family's sixth forefather, Jun Taishian. Then, another old man appeared, holding a chopper and carrying an ancient tree wrapped in chaotic energy on his shoulder. Is that the Jun family's fifth forefather? He's carrying, damn it, the chaotic ancient tree. Some of the old antiques were stunned. The chaotic ancient tree was not as rare as the world tree, but it was almost on the same level as the 6 paths of reincarnation and mortal root. But the Jun family's fifth forefather was so powerful that he appeared with the chaotic ancient tree. I heard that the child of the Jun family was injured. He inherited the Azure Emperor's chaotic physique. In that case, let the chaotic ancient tree heal him. The innate chaotic essence contained in it should be helpful for his recovery. The fifth forefather, Jun Taihao, through the chaotic ancient tree. Thank you, fifth forefather. Even the 18th ancestor and the others cupped their fists slightly. Patriarchs like them were considered juniors in front of the ancient ancestors. It's just given it. In a Huangtian mystic realm, the group of cultivators was dumbfounded. Such a precious item was given away so casually, as if it was a cabbage. Was this a top-tier, undying family? He was in love. Hee, old fifth, you're still the same as before. At this moment, a female voice sounded. A woman in a bright and luxurious dress appeared. Her demeanor was like that of a pretty girl from a humble family, and a terrifying wave of quasi-emperor energy shook the surroundings. Many experts felt like they were suffocating. Nine tribulation quasi-emperor. Someone cried out. This young lady was actually a 9th tribulation quasi-emperor. He might not even be far from proving his Tao. Greetings, ancient ancestor Taiyin. The 18th forefather and others were even more shocked. They didn't expect the 4th forefather to show up and be alarmed by the Horn of Doom. I'd like to meet the Jun family's child. But before that, let's take care of business and destroy those 3 ants. The 4th forefather of the Jun family, Jun Taiyin, was as delicate as a spring flower and as charming as the autumn moon. She even gave people a feeling of being delicate and amiable. But the words she said were extremely domineering, which didn't match her gentle temperament. The Jin dynasty, one of the top 3 assassins in the mystic realm, was just an ant in her eyes. However, the arrival of the strong cultivators was not limited to that. Then, a few hazy figures appeared. One of the old women was Jun Tsuehua of the Jun family's hidden branch. This was a group of boundary emperors from the hidden branch. Of course, the main branch and the hidden branch were not separated. The Jin dynasty, one of the top 3 assassins of the Jun family, must be tired of living, Jun Tsuehua said coldly. Suddenly, more than 10 figures stood above the Huangtian mystic realm. It was as if more than 10 gods were standing there. Is this the power of the Jun family? More than 10 boundary emperors appeared so casually. Everyone was shocked. Jun Xiaoyao's power had shocked everyone, and they knew that this was definitely not the full power of the Jun family. At this moment, the entire 9 heavens mystic realm was shaking. Countless eyes fell on the Jun family of the Huangtian mystic realm. The Xianting, the underworld, the Archean royalty, the Holy Spirit tribe, the Gulan sect, the Overlord Ancestral Hall, the Western sect, even the 9 heavens and the Grey clan had their eyes on the Jun family. It could be said that this battle of the immortals had attracted the attention of the entire mystic realm. Many of them wanted to know how powerful the Jun family was. And now, the tip of the iceberg was revealed, which was enough to make many forces wary. But, just when everyone thought that the Jun family's army was about to be assembled, suddenly, many people felt a terrifying aura. Countless mystic realms were trembling, the space was shaking, and the big stars were rustling and falling. A hazy figure traversed the boundless space and arrived. It was as if he was stepping on thousands of Taos. Every step he took made the world tremble. Endless Emperor's light illuminated the entire universe. It was a middle-aged man holding the Nine Dragons' godly sword. His face was blurry, and he looked like an ancient god. With his arrival, the entire Huangtian mystic realm was shaking. This was the true power of the Emperor. It's him! He showed up. Seeing this figure, the supreme antiques from the Xianting, the Archean royalty, and other places were shocked. They didn't expect this battle of the immortals to attract the attention of the Jun family. It's the third ancestor. Greetings, third ancestor. Seeing this figure coming, even the 18th ancestor and the others cupped their hands like juniors. Jun Tai, Jun Taixian, Jun Taihao, and Jun Taiyin also cupped their hands slightly. The person who came was the third ancestor of the Jun family, Jun Taiwan. However, the people of the world were more familiar with his other name, Taiwan. This was a true great emperor. Because of the Archean Treaty of Alliance, emperors rarely appeared in the mystic realm. Therefore, Taiwan had always been in seclusion in an ancient cavern in the depths of the Dam world. It's really him, Taiwan. In the Xianting, an ancient existence sighed slightly. In that era, Taiwan was also a name that couldn't be forgotten. Even though he wasn't as powerful as Qi Tiandi, his ancestor, who could suppress the universe, he was still a bright sun in the Jun family. The appearance of the Jun family's true emperor undoubtedly caused a stir in all directions. There were rumors before that the Jin dynasty's three great assassins might have a great emperor of the killing path who had been sleeping for a long time. But now, Taiwan had shown up, and all the great emperors of the killing path had to stand aside. However, that was not all. In another direction, another hazy and terrifying figure appeared, and it was also filled with bright emperor's light. It was a peerless man with silver armor and a mask on his face. His silver hair was as bright as the Milky Way. It's the divine universe emperor. Countless people exclaimed. No one was unfamiliar with this figure. In the previous war between the mystic realm and the foreign realm, he had appeared. It was the emperor of the Jun family's hidden branch, the divine universe emperor, Jun Xinyu. Tai Huang, divine universe emperor. The appearance of the Jun family's two great emperors shocked the mystic realm and shook the universe. The three great assassins Jin dynasty is finished. This was what everyone thought. Chapter 1217. Emperor Tai and Emperor Shunyu were like two prideful suns that illuminated the entire Huangtian mystic realm. The boundless and dark universe was illuminated by the radiance of the Emperor's Tao. There were only two of them, but they illuminated the vast universe. Following their arrival, all the members of the Jun family were excited, and their blood was boiling. This was the Jun family, the invincible Jun family. Whoever dared to anger them had to be prepared to be destroyed. However, the three assassins of the Jin dynasty are like rats in the gutter. It won't be easy to find their nest. Jun Taiyin, one of the four ancestors of the Jun family, had a thoughtful look in her eyes. As a nation of assassins in the mystic realm since ancient times, the three assassins of the Jin dynasty had assassinated countless figures of great forces. Therefore, there were naturally many immortal forces that had a grudge against them. Because of this, the nest of the three assassins of the Jin dynasty was extremely well hidden. It was impossible for the outside world to know where the nest of the three assassins of the Jin dynasty was. In history, there were some immortal forces that were infuriated by the assassins of the Jin dynasty. They joined forces and wanted to suppress the three Jin dynasty. In the end, when they finally found the nest, they discovered that it was actually a conspiracy. Not only did they not find the true nest, but they also suffered heavy losses. What was even more terrifying was that after that immortal battle, all the immortal forces that participated in the battle suffered the bloody revenge of the three assassins of the Jin dynasty. Regardless of whether they were of the older generation or the younger generation, they would immediately be assassinated as soon as they stepped out of their territory. That could be said to be a bloody period in the history of the mystic realm. After that, no other immortal forces dared to easily start an immortal battle against the three assassins of the Jin dynasty. Only the Jun family dared to make a move. Everyone, leave this matter to me. This voice came from the Jiang family of Qingzhou. The army of the Jiang family had also finished gathering. Ancient warships filled the sky. Other than Jiang Daoshu and the other boundary emperors of the Jiang family also appeared. The one who spoke was a high-level boundary emperor of the Jiang family, named Jiang Heng. He raised his hand, and 3 tortoiseshell floated in the void. Immediately, dense and mysterious runes imprinted in the void. All sorts of karmic threads appeared. Oh, the Jiang family's divination technique is indeed superb. Your ancestor had a supreme cultivator named Jiang Shang, known as the Celestial Mystery Emperor, said Jun Taixian, the 6th patriarch. The Jiang family's heritage was equally ancient. Although it was not comparable to the Jun family, it was at least much older and more powerful than the other families of the remote antiquity. Although the Jiang family had also participated in the Battle of the Immortals, the Jiang family did not send any great emperors because the Jun family was the one leading the battle. However, the appearance of several quasi-emperor ancient ancestors of the Jiang family already represented the Jiang family's intentions. Jun Xiaoyao was also the Jiang family's reverse scale that could not be offended. Jiang Heng was a powerful high-level quasi-emperor of the Jiang clan. However, his greatest strength was not his strength, but part of the Jiang family's heavenly secret divine skills. The celestial mystery divine skill originated from the mysterious and powerful emperor of the Jiang family, the celestial mystery emperor Jiang Shan. But he had another name that was even more familiar to people. Grand Duke Jiang. The heavenly secret divine art he left behind was too complicated. Even in the Jiang family, not many people could comprehend it. Jiang Heng, on the other hand, was extremely talented and could be considered a very outstanding figure in the modern era of the Jiang family. Most importantly, he comprehended part of the heavenly secret divine art and could deduce some heavenly secrets. There was even a rumor that had been circulating before. It was said that the reason the Jiang family and the Jun family were so close and had been connected by marriage for generations. A large part of the reason was that the celestial mystery Emperor Jiangshang had left behind a message. In the future, the era would be overturned. If one wanted to see the light, they had to be with the Jun family. As the celestial mystery emperor, who was the best at deducing heavenly secrets, Jiangshang's words were obviously not baseless. Of course, this was just a rumor. As for whether it was true or not, no one cared. Because now, the two families were wearing the same pants. At this moment, Jiang Heng used the heavenly secret divine art. Although he had only comprehended part of it, it was still mysterious enough that ordinary great emperors could not understand it. However, a deep look flashed in the eyes of the third ancestor Jun Taiwang and the divine universe emperor of the hidden branch. As the real great emperors, they could naturally see some clues. As expected of the Jiang family's heavenly secret divine art, the divine universe emperor exclaimed. The fact that it could be praised by a great emperor was enough to show how mysterious the secret art was. Soon, the 3 tortoiseshells trembled and emitted a hazy glow. Then, 3 beams of light suddenly burst out and pointed in 3 directions. Found the tracks of these rats. Jiang Heng's face revealed a cold smile. The 3 tortoiseshells represented the Jin dynasty, the 3 great assassins. One of the beams of light pointed in a direction. Many people looked over, and they were all extremely surprised. The direction was not in any of the 9 heavens immortal realm. It was in an extremely chaotic and dangerous star region, which was also a no man's land. The chaotic astral ocean. It's there, many experts exclaimed. The tortoiseshells represented the Blood Pagoda, one of the 3 great assassins of the Jin dynasty. In other words, the Blood Pagoda's base was in the boundless chaotic astral ocean. No wonder. I once heard some secret information. The Blood Pagoda's base is not fixed. It's like a floating fortress. That floating fortress is called the Blood Pagoda. Now, many people were enlightened. No wonder the Blood Pagoda's base was difficult to find. It was not fixed to begin with. But now, the location had been found out. Even if the Blood Pagoda wanted to run away, it would be very difficult to do so in a short time. Let's go to the Blood Pagoda. Protector Wu of the Emperor Imperial Court said, strictly speaking, among the three great forces, the Emperor Imperial Court was the weakest. The Emperor Imperial Court was the weakest. After all, it had only been established for a short period of time. It did not even have a true boundary emperor. The only one, the Big Dipper Emperor, was only a nominal guest. He did not stay in the Emperor Imperial Court for long. As for the Shinao of Beach, after returning to the immortal realm, he went to a mysterious ancient place to cultivate in seclusion. After all, he was too old. He was from the same era as Qi Tiandi. It was already impressive that he could live until now. It was impossible for him to stay awake forever. Do you need the Jun family to send some people? Jun Tianming of the 8th ancestor hesitated. Although the Blood Pagoda was considered the weakest of the three great assassins of the Jin dynasty, but it would not be easy for the Emperor Imperial Court to deal with it. Protector Wu hesitated. At this moment, a beautiful woman appeared and smiled. No need. We will help the Emperor Imperial Court. This woman who suddenly appeared had skin that was sparkling and translucent like fine jade. Her eyes were intelligent and brilliant. She was wearing a white gauze dress. She was ethereal like a fairy under the moon. He had an aloof and detached temperament. It was the Nirvana fairy of the Nirvana clan, Meng Nuer. Previously, after the war between the two worlds, the Nirvana clan had also migrated to the Huangtian mystic realm. However, because of the special nature of the Nirvana clan, the Emperor Imperial Court did not absorb them. And to be honest, in the entire Nirvana clan, the Nirvana flower's mother alone was enough to compare to all the strong cultivators in the Emperor Imperial Court. It could be said that she alone was the Emperor clan and the immortal realm. Well, okay. Jun Tianming nodded slightly. The others of the Nirvana clan might not be worthy of the Jun family's attention, but the Nirvana flower's mother was absolutely terrifying. After all, she was the ghost-faced Empress reincarnation. Now, the Blood Pagoda should be praying. Chapter 12:18. Next, the other two tortoise shells were also discovered by the crowd. The Serene Nation was located in the underworld immortal realm of the Nine Heavens immortal realm. It's the underworld immortal realm. Rumor has it that it was the dojo of the underworld during the bygone era. Some experts' eyelids twitched. If one were to ask which immortal realm was the most ancient and mysterious in the Nine Heavens immortal realm, the underworld immortal realm was definitely on the list. Rumor had it that it was the birthplace of the underworld, the dojo of the underworld. The underworld was so mysterious that it was known as the Xian Ting of the darkness. They kept a very low profile, and it was not an exaggeration to say that they were a force under the surface. Moreover, just like the immortal court, the underworld wasn't just a simple force. The branches and veins within it were extremely huge and complicated. The underworld king bloodline, which had conflicts with the Jun family, was related to the underworld. Rumor had it that the underworld king bloodline worshipped the one-armed underworld king, who was a super big shot in the ancient underworld. Now, everyone remembered that there were also rumors that the Serene Nation and the underworld were inextricably linked. Many of the Serene Nation's assassination techniques came from the underworld. Leave the Serene Nation to the Jiang family, Sub-Emperor Jiang Heng said. Since the Imperial Court was in charge of dealing with the Blood Buddha, then the Jiang family would deal with the Serene Nation. I'll go with the Jiang family, the Divine Universe Emperor said. The underworld immortal realm was extremely mysterious and ancient. In addition, the Serene Nation was inextricably linked to the underworld. It was safer to have a great emperor to suppress it. Thank you, Divine Universe Emperor. Jiang Heng cupped his hand slightly. Next, the arrangements were made. The Divine Universe Emperor, Jun Suihua, and the other ancient ancestors of the hidden bloodline would go with the Jiang family to Serene Nation. Then, only the heaven was left. In fact, the three great assassins of the Jin dynasty were equally famous. But there was a faint difference between the strong and the weak. Among the three Jin dynasty, the weaker one was the Blood Buddha. The second was the Serene Nation, and the strongest was the heaven. Because among the three Jin dynasty, the heaven had the oldest history. There were even rumors that the heaven's history was almost as old as the Xianting, and the Jun family was the one who went to heaven. However, to everyone's surprise, the heavenly hall was located in the chaotic heaven immortal realm. It was in Xianting's territory. The entire Huntian immortal realm was extremely large, and countless forces and clans were located within it. It was understandable for heaven to be hidden within. After that, everything was arranged properly. The monarch emperor court headed to the chaotic star region. The Jiang family headed to the underworld immortal realm. The Jun family headed to the Huntian immortal realm. The army set out. The Jun family's army drove 20 war arcs. The remaining 10 ships were given to the monarch dynasty. The Jiang family had their own warship that could cross the immortal realms. Naturally, they didn't need to borrow the Jun family's warship. 3 forces, 3 armies, set off from the Huangtian mystic realm. In the void, the light of various teleportation formations flickered. The Ark of War was equipped with its own teleportation array. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called a warship that could cross immortal realms. The 3 armies headed in 3 different directions. Wherever they passed, the void trembled and great stars shattered. No living being dared to block the path of these 3 armies. That battle intent and killing intent shook the heavens and the clouds, causing the heavens and the earth to dim and the universe to tremble. What was even more shocking was that these 3 armies were moving too fast. Generally speaking, the more powerful the army, the slower the speed of movement. However, these 3 armies flashed the void array from time to time, and their speed was extremely fast. This was the ability of a warship that could cross immortal realms. However, the only drawback was that every time the void array was activated, it consumed a terrifying amount of immortal sources and other resources. It could be said that even the immortal forces might not be willing to use it like this. However, the Jun family and Jiang family didn't care at all. They were rich and willful. Most importantly, they were eager for revenge. Now, other than destroying the Jin dynasty, they had no other goal. How terrifying! They are determined to destroy the 3 Jin dynasty. This is the consequence of angering the Jun family. They will destroy them as they wish. There's no doubt about it. Along the way, many forces were alarmed and wanted to go and watch. There were even some forces that had old grudges with the 3 assassin dynasties who had joined the team. For example, the forces that had started an immortal war against the 3 Jin dynasty had suffered bloody revenge in the end. Now, these forces were extremely excited. They were clapping their hands and cheering. There's a cycle of reincarnation. Who would be forgiven by the heavens? The 3 Jin dynasty finally met their end. This is the cycle of karma. These assassins used to be so arrogant in the Jin dynasty. Who would dare to provoke them? Now that they have provoked the Jun family, they deserve it. Haha, I'm looking forward to witnessing the destruction of the Jin dynasty. These forces, which had suffered miserably at the hands of the 3 assassin dynasties, also sent people to join the 3 armies in wiping out the 3 dynasties. It was also a force that could not be ignored. Rumble. The ancient warship traveled billions of li and broke through the stars like a steel flood. Looking from the outside, the underworld immortal realm was shrouded in a faint mist all year long. Compared to the other immortal realms in the 9 heavens immortal realm, the underworld immortal realm had fewer factions and living beings. The reason being that this place was too strange. It had been the dojo of the underworld since ancient times. That being said, the underworld immortal realm was not officially stationed in the underworld immortal realm. No one knew where the real underworld immortal realm was. However, at this moment, the entire underworld immortal realm seemed to be trembling. The mighty steel flood covered the sky, the sun, and the stars. The vast army of the Jiang family and the hidden branch of the Jun family crossed the boundless galaxy and arrived at the underworld immortal realm. Today, we will descend upon the underworld immortal realm and destroy the Yun nation. Jun Xiaoyao's grandfather, Jiang Daoxiu, yelled furiously on the deck of one of the ancient warships of the Jiang family. Jun Xiaoyao had taken a great risk to find the Nine Wonders reincarnation immortal grass in the eternal burial ground for his grandfather to treat his unmentionable illness. Jiang Daoxiu had treated this filial and outstanding grandson of his like a precious treasure. Now Jun Xiaoyao was being ambushed by the three assassins of the Jin dynasty. Jiang Daoxiu insisted on entering the battlefield to avenge his grandson. The army of the Jiang family arrived at a dark area. This was originally a hidden ancient realm, but Jiang Heng had managed to find it through his calculations. He squinted slightly with a cold grin. As he stretched out his hand, the strength of a high-level sub-emperor erupted and crushed over. Jiang Heng was a ninth tribulation sub-emperor. This was already extremely terrifying. He was not far from becoming a true emperor and only needed an opportunity. Rumble. Boundless killing light instantly soared up in this dark region. That was the activation of an ancient formation, and a shocking killing aura burst forth. The complete version of the 8th archaic killing formation. Sub-Emperor Jiang Heng's expression was calm. The complete version of the archaic killing formation was indeed powerful. Previously, the Jun family had only used a portion of the 3rd killing formation's power in the immortal battle, and it was enough to protect the entire Jun family. Now, Secluded Country fully activated the complete version of the 8th archaic killing formation, and it was indeed an extremely strong defense. However, before Jiang Heng could make a move, a vast hand that covered the entire galaxy came crashing down from above the universe. As the palms swept across, the 8th archaic killing formation collapsed. Today, Secluded Country will be eliminated. The Divine Universe Emperor stood above billions of galaxies and looked down at the underworld immortal realm. His tone was cold and indifferent, like a god judging all living beings. This was the might of an emperor. Chapter 1219. The Milky Way moved, and the universe trembled. The Divine Universe Emperor's attack had destroyed the Secluded Nation's 8th ancient killing formation. How powerful and domineering was that? This was a true invincible emperor's aura. Apart from those at the same level, no one could stop it. At that moment, a cold shout resounded in the dark ancient world. Don't go overboard. The one who spoke was a boundary emperor assassin from the Secluded Nation. It wasn't that they didn't want to escape. As long as the Jiang family was here, the Jiang family's heaven-seeker divine arts would definitely be able to deduce their location. Thus, even if they tried to escape, it would be useless. The Secluded Nation could only endure. Who went overboard? If you want to blame someone, blame yourselves for being blind. Jiang Heng's expression was extremely cold. The Secluded Nation had sent boundary emperors to kill Jun Xiaoyao. Wasn't that overboard? Today, the Secluded Nation was destined to perish. Kill. Jiang Daoxiu only had one word. At this point, there was no need to say any more nonsense. Rumble. A terrifying array lit up on the Jiang family's ancient warship and gathered into a shocking light beam that shot toward the ancient realm where the Secluded Nation was. Countless destructive light beams fell toward the Secluded Nation. The killing arrays and traps were destroyed one after another. You've gone too far. A cold voice sounded from the Secluded Nation. 4 figures appeared, emitting a monstrous aura. They were all boundary emperors. Even the weakest was a 3rd tribulation boundary emperor. Among them, the strongest was a 9th tribulation quasi-emperor like Jiang Heng. Some of the experts from various forces who were watching the battle from afar were also shocked. As expected of the top 3 assassins, the Jin dynasty easily produced 4 boundary emperors, including the boundary emperor that had already died. The Secluded Nation had a total of 5 boundary emperors. This was already an extremely shocking number. Kill. The Jiang family's ancestors, including Jiang Heng and Jun Soa from the Jun family's hidden branch, attacked together. Instantly, a great battle between boundary emperors erupted, and terrifying shockwaves shook the entire underworld immortal realm. Above the Milky Way, the Divine Universe Emperor stood with his hands behind his back. Apart from destroying the 8th ancient killing array, he didn't do anything else. His eyes flashed with a look of contemplation. The originally lifeless underworld heaven immortal realm was instantly engulfed in a shocking battle. The quasi-emperors were not the only ones fighting. The 7th Realm Martial Highness and the 9th Realm Martial Saint Cultivators were also engaged in a fierce battle. Kill. Avenge the young master of the Jiang clan. You dare to encircle the son of God of the Jun family? Only death awaits you. Destroy secluded country. This group of trash in the darkness can no longer exist in the immortal domain. The flames of war reached the heavens and swept out in all directions. In the ancient secluded world, numerous figures also flashed out. They were the experts and assassins from secluded country. They couldn't escape even if they wanted to, and could only fight to the death. They probably didn't expect it either. He was originally the Grim Reaper who harvested lives. But now, he had become the one being reaped. Was the secluded country strong? He was indeed very strong. As one of the top 3 assassins of the Jin dynasty, they had a strong background. All sorts of ancient artifacts, killing formations, traps, and divine weapons were unleashed. However, the allied forces of the Jiang family and the hidden branch of the Jun family were too strong. In terms of the number of quasi-emperors, they also suppressed secluded country. Boom! A vast emperor's aura shook the ancient Yu world. 2 emperor weapons glowing with blood-red light appeared. They were like 2 blood-red suns that suppressed the battlefield. Seeing this, Jiang Daoshu and the others showed disdain. Buzz. On the allied forces' side, the Jiang family also took out 2 emperor weapons. In addition, the hidden branch of the Jun family also took out 2 emperor weapons. A total of 4 emperor weapons suppressed secluded countries' emperor weapons. How can this be? Seeing this scene, all the assassins from secluded country felt despair. How could they continue fighting? It was impossible for them to win. However, this was not the only thing that made them despair. Drops of blood fell from the sky like meteors. That was the boundary emperor of secluded country. He was severely injured and vomited blood. His boundary emperor body was covered in cracks. It's over. Even these cold-hearted assassins were on the verge of a mental breakdown. Many people were even more resentful. Why did the higher-ups agree to join in the encirclement of Jun Xiaoyao? They were dancing on the tip of a knife. In the sky, the boundary emperor of secluded country roared. Do you know who ordered us to deal with Jun Xiaoyao? It doesn't matter who it is. We only know that you 3 assassins will destroy the Jin dynasty. Jiang Heng said coldly. Actually, he had also guessed it. To be able to get the 3 assassins to attack the Jin dynasty together, the power behind it was definitely terrifying. Even if the Jun family and the Jiang family worked together, they would still have to think carefully. The celestial realm was not suitable for an ultimate battle. Therefore, the 3 assassins from the Jin dynasty could only be scapegoats. Seeing that there was no turning back, the boundary emperor of secluded country became bloodthirsty. At this moment, in the depths of secluded country's ancient world, once again, a dense group of figures appeared. These figures were dressed in blood-red clothes. Their faces were numb, and their eyes were blood-red. Be careful. It's the death-sworn of secluded country. Seeing this, an expert from the Jiang family loudly warned. The death-sworn of the 3 assassins from the Jin dynasty was undoubtedly the death-sworn. These death-sworn were emotionless and could even self-detonate without hesitation to take the enemy down with them. These were the killing machines trained by the Jin dynasty. Kaboom! In an instant, there was the sound of explosions. Some death-sworn charged toward the Alliance army and self-detonated. Their strength might not be very strong, but the power of their explosions was terrifying. The Alliance army also suffered casualties. However, compared to secluded country, it was still much better. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that secluded country was just struggling on the verge of death. However, there was still more despair to come. An earth-shattering explosion rang out, shattering countless stars. That was a boundary emperor of secluded country who had been seriously injured and forced to self-detonate. On the Alliance army's side, there were 7 or 8 boundary emperors from the Jiang family and the hidden branch of the Jun family. How could the 4 boundary emperors of secluded country compare to this force? As expected, it didn't take long before another secluded quasi-emperor's blood splattered across the stars. The entire ancient secluded country was turned into a blood-red battlefield. No one knew how many living beings had died here, and even the blood of boundary emperors was splashed everywhere. At this moment, the divine universe emperor's eyes flashed as he looked toward the depths of the ancient secluded country. Kaboom! Countless runes appeared on the ground. The blood of countless experts, cultivators, and assassins was being absorbed like rivers flowing into an ocean, gathering the blood of tens of thousands of living beings. As expected, there's still something sleeping under the ancient secluded country. The divine universe emperor's eyes were deep. At this moment, a vast power came from under the ancient secluded country, causing more than half of the underworld immortal realm to tremble. An ancient bronze lamp appeared, and a bit of flame seemed to reflect the souls of tens of thousands of living beings. In an instant, the millions of dead souls that had fallen on the battlefield were all absorbed by the lamp. A quasi-immortal artifact. Many experts on the Alliance Army's side couldn't help but exclaim. The secluded country was so strong that they even had a quasi-immortal artifact. Wait, why do I feel like that's an immortal artifact of the underworld, a part of the 10 Kings of Hell? An ancient ancestor of the hidden branch of the June family said with a deep gaze. The underworld had a supreme immortal artifact that was comparable to the lost throne of the celestial emperor in the Xianting. It was the 10 Kings of Hell. Rumor had it that it was a supreme immortal artifact formed by the combination of 10 quasi-immortal artifacts. Previously, the prodigy of the underworld king bloodline, the Holy Yama, had fought Jun Xiaoyao in the desolate border. He had used the underworld king bloodline's quasi-immortal artifact, the immortal artifact of Yama's hand. The hand of Yama was also a part of the 10 Kings of Hell. And now, this ancient bronze lamp reminded everyone of the underworld's quasi-immortal artifact, the soul guiding lamp. It was also a part of the 10 Kings of Hell. This means that the secluded country is indeed related to the underworld, the divine universe emperor murmured. Who dares to offend the secluded country? At this moment, a cold voice sounded, carrying with it an ancient aura. However, it seemed to resound in everyone's ears. A nether shadow that had been sleeping for thousands of years was awakened and appeared. The true power of the secluded country had appeared.